The American Le Mans Series. World-class drivers, premier road courses and cutting-edge technology. Born in France in 1923 with the first running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the American Le Mans Series is the glory and the grueling reality of world-class sports car racing. 5 separate classes racing on the track at the same time. Drivers from around the world strut their speed, skill and endurance. It's the chain that connects the new and the true sports car fans to an extraordinary racing tradition. This is the American Le Mans Series.
ESPN and the American Le Mans Series welcome you to coverage of Round 7 of the 2012 American Le Mans Series season. It's the American Le Mans Series at Road America from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Since 1950, sports cars have raced in Elkhart Lake, and since 1955, it's been right here at Road America. The weather is absolutely perfect for American Le Mans Series competitors to attack this course. 5 different classes of cars compete in the American Le Mans Series. That makes for great action all around the racetrack. In the prototype category, 3 different prototype classes, Prototype 1 and Prototype 2, very similar as far as aerodynamics and drivetrain goes. The biggest difference is in the engines, purpose-built and designed racing engines in the P1 cars, production-based engines in the P2 cars. Speeds just slightly slower. In Prototype Challenge, it is a spec series, meaning all the cars are exactly the same and the exact same tires. In GT, choose the manufacturer you want to represent, choose the tires you want to run on, and you can race at speeds of over 180 miles an hour. GTC, it's another spec series. All of them 2010 to 2012 Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars, all running on the same Yokohama tires. Up to the teams, drivers, and engineers to get the most of their machines. In the Prototype 1 category, let's take a look at the championship points. To date, it's Lucas Luhr and Klaus Graf who lead. Chris Dyson and Guy Smith, the Muscle Milk team of Luhr and Graf, have been so strong all season long. And for more on that team, we'll head down to pit road and the first of our pit reporters with Jamie Howe.
Muscle Milk Pickett Racing come into the race today as the championship points leaders, but they've also won the last 5 rounds of competition. So for most teams, it would be easy to give up, but this has not been an easy battle for the guys. Klaus Graf, you put the car on pole for the weekend, but you've had a lot of little issues with all of the cars in the field, 4 hours. How do you maintain focus?
Well, I mean, it's easy to lose focus if you win 5 races in a row, but, you know, especially here, you know, you think it's a long track and traffic wouldn't be much of an issue, but actually it seems to be worse than other places we go to. It's just the nature of the track, I think, and the way, you know, you have some corners you spend a lot of time in, and so they cost you a lot of time if you're stuck. So we still need to remain very focused, and this is a long race. It's longer than normal with 4-hour duration, so it's going to be everything else but easy, so we have to keep pushing hard.
And Klaus and his co-driver, Lucas Luhr, they have an advantage starting at the front because their closest competition, Kelly Savis, starts at the back.
A gearbox issue kept the number 16 Dyson Lola Mazda out of qualifying, which is why they're starting at the back of the grid today. And for Guy Smith, you guys could sure use a win today as you try to defend your championship. So how do you overcome this deficit?
Well, yeah, it's a great shame. Obviously, the gearbox problem was one of those things that we out of our control, but the guys got it put together, but unfortunately missing qualifying. So, you know, it's a 4-hour race. You know, anything can happen in a 4-hour race, as we've seen in the past, and you know, Chris is going to start the race and hopefully get to the front, and we're just got to keep pushing and do the best job we can.
Thanks, Guy.
Thanks.
From prototypes to GTs, let's look at the GT points. In that category, it's Ollie Gavin, Tommy Milner in their Corvette who lead over Dirk Mueller driving the BMW. Antonio Garcia, Jan Magnussen also in a Corvette round out the top 3. This has been a manufacturer's battle all year long. Johannes van Overbeek, Scott Sharp in 4th place. They have been piloting a Ferrari. They are very strong, but the strongest car today is a Porsche. It came from the stables of Flying Lizard Motorsports. Jamie Howe has more.
It's a Cinderella story for Flying Lizard Motorsports and GT. They start the race 1 and 2, but it's the first pole position for the youngest and the newest of the Porsche factory drivers, Marco Holzer. Marco, it is a 4-hour race, but this being your first pole, what does it mean to you to start up front?
It's just amazing for me. I had a really good run yesterday, a fantastic car. I'm really happy for the team, also for the 44 and 45. I think it's the first time we owned the front row. Yeah, it's just a good feeling. And but today is a new day, a race day, and I'm really looking forward to now a little bit longer distance of 4 hours.
He gets to start the race. His co-driver Seth Nyman will be in right behind him.
Welcome to today's broadcast. I'm Brian Till, along with former American Le Mans Series driving champion Johnny O'Connell. And Johnny, as we've already heard, for several drivers this weekend, it's really now or never. They need to win one of these next couple of rounds or risk being eliminated from the championship mathematically. So if you are one of those drivers, as you come here this weekend, are you feeling a little bit of desperation, or is patience still a virtue?
You know, Brian, if you haven't had a good series so far, you are feeling a sense of desperation. You know, you don't get paid to not perform, especially here in the American Le Mans Series. So if you've not performed yet this season, this is the time to do it today.
And it's not just about drivers' championships. Team and manufacturer championships are on the line. It's also late in the season. It's August. It's contract renegotiation time for some of these drivers.
Well, you know, and in racing in the American Le Mans Series, it's not like baseball where you have 160 some opportunities to showcase what you can do. You get 10. And if you haven't performed this year, you are starting to worry about whether or not you're going to have a job in 2013. But you can fix all those problems today if you do it right here at Road America.
Now let's take a look at the Road America circuit. Just over 4 miles long, 14 turns, the longest track that the series competitors will run on in the 2012 season. And Johnny O'Connell will give us some insight using Forza Motorsport 4.
You know, Brian, this is a racetrack everybody loves to come to, but mistakes happen. Common one, turn 5, leaving your braking too late. You see, I was a mile wide on my apex there. That's going to cost me lap time going all the way up to the Corvette bridge at turn 6. This time I do it properly. I slowed out my car down, changed down to second gear, right there up on the curb. Nice, clean apex, accelerating out. That's going to lead to a great lap time. Now, one of the most famous corners here at Road America is the kink, but you make mistakes here every now and then. This is me turning it too early. Boom, big hit. Bad things happen so quickly here at Road America at the kink. This time I'm going to do it right. I'm going to be a little bit more patient, get to my apex, carry my momentum out to get a great lap time.
Road America has been known as the National Park of Speed, and the American Le Mans Series competitors will attack its 4 miles when we come back to Road America. And when we do, plenty more stories yet to tell. It's John Hondoff, Jeremy Shaw, who will bring you the call from the green all the way to the checkered. We'll be back to more from Road America right after this.
Welcome back to Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and Jeremy Shaw alongside me. We've heard the guys talking about GT and the prototype classes, the challenge classes, no less competitive, particularly in GT challenge.
It's been absolutely tremendous this season. We had 4 different teams have won races this season, including a new winner last time out 2 weeks ago at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course with JDC Racing. And you know, the quality of the drivers in that class, it's super high. That is going to be very competitive this afternoon.
In Prototype Challenge, this is the real breeding ground for new talent for the prototype classes. Again, it's all about the competition and sharing out the wins.
Isn't that absolutely right? I mean, Core Autosport pretty much dominated the class, certainly in terms of results, but we've had 3 different winners in PC the last 3 races, and I think, you know, there's a possibility of another one this afternoon.
Yeah, well, if we look at the points table for the drivers in PC, we'll see that it is the 3 core drivers at the top. But Alex Popow has got to be looking over his shoulder. He's just got 8 points between himself and his teammates. Bruno Juncker a little bit further back. But as Jeremy said, we've got another new pole sitter here at Road America this weekend. For Merchant Services Racing, Kyle Marcelli, they haven't had a win yet. But with Taro Koki down there, maybe we'll find out if they feel they will get one today.
Yesterday, there was nothing wrong with the GT class, is what John Heinhoff said. I think there's nothing wrong with the prototype challenge class. Kyle, there was some pretty awesome, intense runs out there yesterday, but you came on top. What's the confidence level here of you and the team going into the race?
Yeah, you know what? It's always special to start a race from the pole position. It gives us a lot of team confidence. All the guys on the team, the drivers, we're pumped. We're energized. We haven't had a win yet this season, and we're looking for it. Yesterday's qualifying was awesome. I mean, my car was working so good. Came in a little bit earlier than I expected, and I just had to make it happen. But you know, this season is so competitive in the LMPC category. Every team has a solid driver lineup, and it's really special for me to have put the car in the pole position, and that gives us our best chance today.
How about strategy-wise? Your car is the only car, besides the other merchant service team that has 3 drivers. All the other PC cars have 2 drivers. How's that going to affect your strategy?
It's tough to say in these early stages. I mean, I think with us being the only 3-driver lineup, it's not I wouldn't say it's a positive thing, but you know what? I don't think it's a negative thing either. I think we're starting James right now. I'm not going to get in until the very end, probably the last 2 hours or so. We'll just have to see how it goes and call the strategy accordingly. But we're ready for anything that comes at us. So.
Cars rolling off on their one warm-up lap, green flag lap. It's 4 miles around, so there's no need to take more than that. All the championships still up for grabs. Let's take a look at the Prototype 2, the P2 category. Christoph Bouchou and Scott Tucker sharing the lead, but look, Martin Plowman and David Hennemeyer Hansen just 12 back. And those points can quite easily be made up between now and the end of Petit Le Mans later on in the season. What do the guys in the 37 car think? Let's find out now. Jamie is down in the pit.
Martin Plowman earned the 3rd pole of the season for Conquest Endurance Racing, but Martin is not 100% this weekend. Martin, I know you have a bit of a stomach flu. With this being a 4-hour race, how is that going to affect you in the car?
I don't think it'll affect me too much. I mean, it was a bit of a rough night, but I managed to get a good breakfast and sleep it off. So I'm feeling pretty good right now. But trust me, once David comes down pit lane for the driver change, your heartbeat spikes at 180 and you're ready to go.
Adrenaline can do some amazing things. His co-driver David Hennemeyer Hansen will take the green.
We've been talking about the closeness of all the battles in the American Le Mans Series with Tequila Patron this year, and it's no less competitive in GTC. After 6 races, Cooper McNeil leads it by 24, one of the bigger margins that we've seen. But certainly don't count out that 34 pairing in second place there, Peter Lesafre and Damien Faulkner. They've had terrible luck in the last couple of races, and well, that could easily turn around if Cooper McNeil's luck changes. Go down to Kelly Stavist, who has the news from the head of the GTC field.
Jerome Bleekemolen won the GTC championship last year. This season he's driven for a variety of teams, and today, Jerome, the task is to help Cooper McNeil as he looks to win that championship in this class. What's it like coming into a situation where you're trying to help the points leader?
Well, actually it's great because they're running a great season. They're doing a really good job. So the car is very fast. So yeah, I'm just there to help them out. But I think they can do a very good job on their own as well.
Well, they're starting from a good spot as Jerome set the pole for the AGR car.
And he could have an interesting start here if he just managed another win. He would have won for, I think, 3 different teams this year, hasn't he? He's been in. He is the archetypal super sub. We're halfway around the 4 miles. Jeremy Shaw and John Hindhaugh, and I know we always say this, but we are particularly excited about today's race as we are watching them come down towards Canada Corner. The safety workers give the thumbs up to Klaus Graf, who is leading them around. It's 4 hours, more time, more excitement, more racing, and one of the main championship protagonists starting all the way at the back. In fact, 2 if you count the ESM Ferrari as well. Yeah, because you don't count that car out in the race this afternoon in GT. Certainly, this is one of the classic road courses in the world. So any race here is going to be good, and particularly when you've got a field of this sort of caliber. So Klaus Graf looking over to his left to see Tony Burgess alongside him, or nearly, in that number 20. That is the defending champion car from last year, the car that Guy Smith and Chris took to the title. And finished second here by about that much. Nothing. 0.011, wasn't it? Yes, very, very close indeed. Up the hill. Even that television picture does not do justice to just how steep the hill is. Waiting for the call for green.
Green, green, green.
And it is green, green, green. Not the most organised of starts, but David Hennemeyer Hansen is the one on the left of our picture in the grey and orange car, who for a moment indeed was up to second place before Tony Burgess goes back around the outside into turn number 1. There goes the GT battle going through the GTCs as well. And look to the back of the field. There's already damage to one of the GTC cars at the back of the field. It looked like it might have been the TRG car with damage on the right-hand side. On board then with the 16 car, which was, of course, should have been starting up front. Chris Dyson starting that car after the gearbox problem. And Hennemeyer Hansen having to defend from Luis Diaz in the number 95, the black level 5-star. Not the tidiest of starts, Jeremy, but thankfully it seems, for the most part, everybody got through turn 1. It's a long run and it's a fast entry into turn 1, and we always just hold our breath a little bit here.
Yeah, we absolutely do, but you're right, they did seem to make it all through there. And look at David Heinemeier Hansson, he's really made a super start there. Luis Diaz, I mean, whoa, he looks on the inside. That's a bit brave. I mean, I think a tentative approach there by Tony Burgess in the number 20 car. David Heinemeier Hansson trying to take full advantage and get himself a margin over that pursuing level 5 car. Great move, really.
Well, we know, don't we, that the Dunlop tyres on the front of the 20 car normally take a little time to come up, but the 37's got Dunlops as well.
Yeah, the number 20 car doesn't have the same wide front tyres as the number 16 car does, so it does get its tyres up to temperature a little bit better. But I'll tell you what, that was a professional racing driver's move by David Heinemeier Hansson, not an amateur move at all, was it?
How many times have we said this year about David, though? He does not fit into the archetypal gentleman driver. You know, we used to call people in Europe sportsman drivers to sort of fit that gap between someone who earns their living as a professional driver and someone who drives very professionally. As he just grounds out, I think, there. Let's have a little look.
There was an accident there early on. I think got some oil dry, I think, from an earlier incident. But I tell you what, he'll have a huge smile on his face as a result of that. He's a super enthusiast, David. He really has really got into this sport. I mean, he cares about the history. He's really interested in all aspects of it. And he will have enjoyed that move on Tony Burgess.
And it's got championship implications. He's got ahead of the 055, which is the car that Scott Tucker has elected to score points in for today, and that is the championship, of course. Here's that move again. He looks to the right, looks to the left. He's made his mind up early, I think, there, Jeremy.
He has, and he came from a long way back, because Tony Burgess there was very, very tentative on the brake stand there. And you know, I don't think David Heinemeier Hansson really wanted to make the pass, but I think he was surprised how early the P1 car braked down there. And at that stage, you really didn't have much choice but to dive down to the inside. So, you know, he rattled over those curbs on the inside, and there's a pretty big rumble strip down there.
Yes.
You've got to hope he hasn't done any damage to the car there.
Yeah, I don't think there was any contact between the two. Let's go down the pit lane. Here's Kelly.
And even though that number 20 car is a P1, remember, it's a couple of years old. It doesn't have all the upgrades that its sister, the number 16 car, has. And when I talked to Tony Burgess and Eric Lux before the race, they said, look, our benchmark is really the P2 class. We want to try to stay ahead of those guys. They said their tires are good in hot or cold weather, so tire temp shouldn't be an issue. Those guys are really measuring themselves against those P2 cars, one of which just passed them.
92 degrees Fahrenheit on the track, 79 degrees Fahrenheit in the air at ALMS Notes if you want to follow along with the race on Twitter. Jörg Bergmeister leading the GT category for the first time this season. We had the
pulling rank there on his countryman and teammate Marco Holzer.
And great job by Flying Lizards. A new Porsche for them this year, and all the Porsche teams have taken a little time to get up to speed with the new wide-body version of the 997 RSR, and Bergmeister has just nipped ahead of Marco Holzer. They locked out the front row this weekend, and that was a splendid effort as through goes Chris Dyson, making his way up onto the extremities of the top 10. He's in 13th position, that blue and white prototype. But look at the GT battle, exactly as we expected, Brian, with Wolf Hensler in 5th position in the third of the Porsches there. And I mean, in between the Stuttgart train is the Corvette and the BMW.
Yeah, and you just mentioned Chris Dyson there in car number 16. He's now ahead at least of all the GT cars. Now he's got the PC cars to work his way through, but already this battle is shaping up in GT.
And it's the Flying Lizards who are still first and second.
And in qualifying, it was so close between the two team cars, the 44 and the 45, that the 44, Marco Holzer, out-qualified their sister car by only 13 one-thousandths of a second. Jörg Bergmeister, he had one less lap on his tires, and he thought that that was going to be a big key as we get into the race today, because he does have a little bit of an advantage. He thinks that tire wear is going to be essential to finishing up front.
So Bergmeister, Jimmy Howe there in the pit lane, thank you. Bergmeister from Holzer, from Ollie Gavin, from Bill Orban, from Wolf Hensler, from Johannes van Overbeek. Are you getting the quality of the drivers in this GT field here? That's down to 6th position. Antonio Garcia in 7th in the second of the Corvettes. 8th is Dirk Muller in the second of the BMWs. That 56 car has struggled a little bit for pace
at this event in the American Le Mans Series. And the top 4 there just making a slight breakaway from the Falcon tyres Porsche. The Derek Walker run car in 5th position down towards Canada corner. Looks like the Corvette's making up a little bit of ground on the 2 Porsches ahead under brakes. But this is a great run by Marco Holzer right ahead of us.
Tremendous battling going on here. It's absolutely magnificent, this GT battle. We've seen the Porsches, the BMWs, the Corvettes, and the Ferraris all mixing in together there. And of course we've got the Vipers joining in now. And what's interesting to me, the Lotus, they made some progress this weekend. Alex Job Racing, that car at the moment, it's in the 9th place in the class. It's ahead of Sasha Maassen in one of the Porsches. So they're making big strides, but this whole battle amongst the manufacturers, it's fantastic to watch. And this battle here, I reckon it's going to go on all the way through this race. And a good effort there, up in the 5th place there for Wolf Henser, because the Falcon Tyres car has been struggling this weekend. They've had some real difficulties, particularly with the balance and as it pertains to the rear end of the car. They've got some new tyres this weekend. They certainly haven't, I think, been produced exactly what they wanted in terms of the handling.
Holzer having to defend down into turn number 5 as Ollie Gavin tries to stick the nose of the big front engine V8 Corvette in and gets it done. And he's now opened the door, has he, for the BMW behind him of Bill Oberlin, who does not need a second invitation and tries to slide through on the coattails of the Englishman. Doesn't get it done as they head down the hill. Wow, that was a real opportunist manoeuvre. I didn't think Ollie Gavin was going to get that done. I thought Holzer had blocked him and legitimately covered his line, but Ollie just let the brakes off going into 5 and put his car where he needed to be.
That's right, and Holzer compromised his line on the entrance to the corner. That meant that Ollie was able to get on the power a little bit earlier and get the jump off the corner. So a classic over-under move effectively there for Oliver Gavin. As you say, a really great opportunist piece of driving, and the Corvette now up into 2nd place.
Now, regular viewers of the American Le Mans Series will know that we are normally on a 2-hour, 45-minute competitive run. Here at Road America, we do everything bigger. It's 4 miles around and 4 hours on the clock when we start. It's still well over 3 hours and 50 minutes. And get ready to be watching this GT battle like this for that next 3 hours and 50 minutes. At the head of the field, it is Jörg Bergmeister for Flying Lizard 45, the Porsche. It's the one with the yellow shade band. Then the number 4 of Ollie Gavin going through in 2nd place, the Corvette. Down to 3rd is Marco Holzer in the 44 Lizard. That's the one with the blue shade band. First of the BMWs. In 4th, Bill Oberlin, the 55 car. Just hanging on at the moment to the tail end of that. Then a bit of a gap back to Wolf Hensler in the 17. That's the Falcon tyres. Easy to spot that one because of the colour scheme. The 17 Porsche with the 01 of Johannes van Overbeek. That's the black and green ESM Ferrari. Antonio Garcia has the 2nd of the GT Corvettes in 7th position, and those top 7 are separated by just on 4 seconds in the GT class. And this is racing, remember, so they are line astern, spread apart by just 4 seconds.
And the 2nd of the ESM Ferraris, Guy Cosmo, started at the back as we see the number 31.
Oh dear, that's Angel Benitez.
Yes, father and son in that car. And if we're trying to pick out which driver it is, we can look at the helmet. Well, actually, it doesn't do us much good because they both wear carbon fiber helmets, black helmets, so it's impossible to tell who is at the wheel of that car from the outside.
And that NGT car.
Talking of GTC, by the way, number 66 car we hear has gone behind the wall, the TRG car.
That was the car that I thought I saw damaged coming to the start. It had damage on the right-hand side, looked like it had lost some bodywork. So let's find out how that grey NGT Porsche, well, he's coming down the inside of the JDX car, and now I am not a driver, but I think he might have missed his braking point there, Jeremy.
Yes, I think he got a bit optimistic there down on the inside. He saw the opportunity to make the pass down to the inside, but he just carried way too much speed into that corner.
Now, look, there's the problem with the 66. That was at the start. He's got a flat front tyre, has he? Or some kind of bodywork damage. And that's fluid coming out of the radiator. I thought I saw that on the start at the right front of the car,
and that was the TRG car, the 66 machine. It's behind the wall at the moment, and he's had contact there, probably on the final corner before going up the hill.
And Spencer Pumpelly shown at the wheel of that car, and that's a tremendous blow to their championship aspirations for TRG, because they were in second place in the points in the team's championship, only 11 points behind Alex Job Racing, so a major disappointment for the TRG number 66 team.
Now, there was a dent in the back of that NGT car in the kitty litter on the left rear. I wonder if that's the car that had contact then with the TRG machine. Bit of detective work there from Hindhoff. Couldn't see any black or blue paint there, but
the 66 car did start behind the 31.
There you go. I'm just thinking about that. Maybe there's been a little bit of ducking and diving before the green flag. Here's the leader in traffic, and insignificant traffic because he's at the front of the GTC field already. That was Patrick Heisman in the 33 Green Hornet car, and Damien Faulkner in the 34 that he's gone through. They're first and second in GTC, and first and second by 8 seconds, Jeremy, on the rest of the GTC field. Now that we're just not used to seeing. That again suggests to me that there was some kind of chicanery at the start of the race.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And Cooper McNeil there is in third place in the class for Alex Job Racing. That is the car and the driver that leads the championship in GTC. So he's running, you know, pretty conservative. He's relatively a local guy here in the Chicago area, but only 19 years of age is Cooper McNeil. He's a university student at the same time as being a racing driver, and he's doing a nice job in third place, but as you say, already 8 seconds or so behind the two leaders.
So that is our leader by a good half a minute at the moment. And in the interests of wanting to pay off that start and that problem for the 66 that has such big championship implications, as Jeremy was mentioning, let's go right back to the start of this race. In fact, let's rewind to before the start of the race as the guys were coming round the final corner. Now look right in the middle, look at the two green cars, but behind them, look, very slow movement there, and there is the shunt, and that was a very slow start indeed by the NGT car. I don't know whether there was a gear missed or something, but there you can see the coolant being spread all the way up the hill, and certainly the two Green Hornet cars were well away from that. I don't see why there was so much slowing down. I would have expected that on the entrance to the final corner, not at that part of the track.
No, that's exactly right. It was Angel Benitez Jr., I think, started this car, and he's just come off a good result. I think I'm not sure whether he actually won the gold category class in the GT3 Cup race that took place only an hour or so ago. But, you know, he's in the racing mode already today. But certainly a poor start there, and it's Spencer Pumpelly that pays the biggest price from that.
Yeah, poor Spencer would have wanted to be get on the right-hand pedal, on the loud pedal as quickly as possible to get up the hill. Now, this is a little further down the GT field than we were watching before, and that's a change of position there because Wolf Hensler is now behind Antonio Garcia. And we're looking forward from Dirk Muller's car. He's in 8th. I fancy that Hensler's dropped down to 7th position, so that's a couple of places lost from Wolf Hensler. Confirm that as they come across the line, but just by eye, I would say that through has gone Johannes van Overbeek and also Antonio Garcia.
And you can see a pretty good tap of the brakes there by Hensler going into the kink, and you can see that the Corvette was carrying, or the BMW behind him, carrying a good bit more speed through that corner. So I think we can look to see that Falcon tyre car dropping down the order. Unfortunately, only 7 laps into this race.
There's the leading 4, the quartet that are at the head of the GT field. The 55 Rahal Letterman Lanigan BMW, one of the 2 Crown Plaza sponsored cars here this weekend, has been the better of the 2 cars all weekend, and can't really put our finger on why the 56 car hasn't quite been up to snuff, but we're talking small margins here, Jeremy. We weren't exactly writing the 56 car off in qualifying, but he was down the field, but he was only a couple or 3 tenths away from his teammate.
Yeah, it was all super close right in that class, as it always is, and we're going to see this all the way through to this afternoon's race. But yeah, on board here with Bill Orlin, you can see those cars ahead of him. They're not very far, and he's going to keep these guys in his sights. And as long as he can just maintain this sort of a gap to them, he's going to be pretty happy through the opening stages of this race.
There is Jörg Bergmeister leading the category. And doing it with some style. Loves this place, Jörg. I mean, everybody loves this place, but he loves it and gets it as well, and likes driving here and is fast here. He's got a phenomenal record at this place.
Yeah, he's got a phenomenal race record at most places,
yeah, that's
hasn't
true.
But, you know,
well.
you're right. I mean, if you polled all the drivers here in the field, I'm sure probably 95% of them, if you ask them what is their favourite racetrack, they would say Road America. It doesn't matter whether they're from the United States, from North America, from Europe, from Australasia. It doesn't matter. If they've raced here, it immediately becomes one of their favourite racetracks because it is such a challenge, and it's scenic as well too. And you know, and for fans, it's a fabulous place to come and watch racing cars in action because you can see the cars doing different things, you know, going fast or making out-braking manoeuvres or just making passes as well. It's a tremendous place to go and watch.
My goodness me, are there not some fans here once again? It always amazes me. We open the grid to all the fans and have that free grid walk, which always seems to me to be far too close to when the cars are going to roll off, and I always worry that we'll never get it cleared in time. But thank goodness me, we always do, and there was a lot of people down there when we were looking down from the roof before we opened the show today. Looks like Holzer to me is just gaining back in a little bit on Ollie Gavin. It's about half a second as we hear that there's been a penalty handed out to the number 32 for something that is very unusual, improper starting driver. Now, you could start either of the drivers, but you've got to tell them which one you've started.
Yeah,
so.
they nominated James Sofronis to start that car. And apparently it's Alex Welsh that took the green flag. So, yeah, we'll have to find out more about that one.
So Klaus Graf leads it then, as we might have expected for Muscle Milk. David Hennemeyer Hansen has nicked the lead in P2. And it's a fabulous day to go motor racing. There's plenty of action. Make sure you join us when we come back to Road America. Coming down to turn 5, braking at the 3 marker. Turn the nose in, get on the power nice and early. Up the hill under the Corvette bridge. Down 1 gear. Use the road on the outlet, short shift. Feather the throttle into 7. Great corner. Pretty much flat in qualifying as far as the prototypes are confirmed. Now, a little while ago, there was a change of position in second place. Ollie Gavin did get through into second place ahead of Marco Holzer. It's a pretty strong move by Ollie. Just down into turn 5, just got the nose turned in, made that past stick. So the rest of the GT field go through, and there it is from the onboard. Clean as a whistle though, Jeremy, you've got to say that. No contact.
Cleanish. I'm not sure whether there might have been a little bit of contact. Just as Holzer was coming back kind of onto the racetrack, it might have been a little bit of a tap between the two of them, but certainly it was a great move by Oliver Gavin because it was him that forced Marco Holzer into that mistake and then took advantage to get a better exit and get the run up the hill into turn 6.
And he's just pulled out a little bit actually, the top 4 beginning to space out a little bit. I still really haven't got my head around why the 56 car was that 2 or 3 tenths away that it has been all weekend from its 55 cousin, the Bill Oberlin car. They're sitting down in 9th position, Dirk Muller, behind Guy Cosmo at the moment, and there was some talk as to whether Guy Cosmo would actually get in the 02 car earlier today after quite a bizarre injury that he sustained yesterday, Jeremy.
Well, that's right. There was the Tour de Road America, which is a bicycle race around here not a race night, just a bicycle ride around here last night that raised a lot of money for different cancer charities. So hats off to everybody that was taking part in that. Teams, team owners, drivers, crew guys, fans here. It was a tremendous turnout, and they raised a lot of money. But at the end of it, Guy Cosmo had finished his ride. And he just picked up his bike and turned around to put it somewhere else, and he just tweaked his back. And I know what that feels. I got a bit of a dodgy back as well, so I know what he's going through there. But he really bent himself out of shape, and he was really struggling this morning. So they put Anthony Lazzaro into that car during the warm-up, and he will stand by and perhaps drive it in a race. But right now, Guy Cosmo is doing a super job.
GTC, we're watching the leader there, Damien Faulkner, leading that. This was a little bit earlier on. Oh my goodness me. And Angel Benitez Jr., I think that was, who rather misjudged his braking point and went into turn 1. They've increased the size of the beach on the driver's left at turn 1. over the last few years, but he has managed to comprehensively ditch the car into there.
Jen, I went
and the safety team have done a great job getting him out under local yellows. Chris Dyson, by the way, is up into second position now from the back of the field. He has made it through.
Yeah, 9 laps it took Chris Dyson to go from last to second place. Doing some pretty good laps as well.
Now this GTC battle, as we've said, championship is tighter than a very tight thing on a day when it's been tweaked to top tightness. The 66 car had problems before the green flag. There it is, getting into the back of the 31. Don't know why Benitez didn't get on the power going up the hill, but Spencer Pumpelly left with nowhere to go. The radiators in the front of the Porsche, and that was the fluid that you saw. The 2 Green Hornet cars at the moment are stroking it, dare I say, at the head of the GTC field, with Damien Faulkner and Patrick Heisman took a couple of seconds back in second. And if we wait quite some time, and by that I mean the sharp end of what, 20 seconds, 25 seconds, there's the battle for third, and the battle for third has Cooper McNeil and Chris coming absolutely together going up the hill.
Yeah, I think they've exchanged places a couple of times lately. Cooper McNeil, Chris Cumming, he missed the last round at Mid-Ohio because he was at the Olympics, but he's having a good, strong comeback this weekend.
Well, that white 22 car started from the pole, and Cooper McNeil, the young student from the University of Colorado at Boulder, knew he had his hands full with some of the pros starting in the lineup just behind him. He told me, hey, his duty is don't hit anything, stay clean during this first stint. He's going to do just enough to get his driver time in to secure the points, and then he's going to turn the duties over to Jerome Bleekemolen, who won the GT Challenge class last year. So he just wants to stay clean. He said, these guys are going to get by me eventually. I know they will. As long as I'm on that lead lap, I've done my job.
That's exactly the right way to look at it as well. On board with the Alex Job Racing Yokohama Shods WeatherTech. That is the GTC Class 1 of 5 on the circuit here with the American Le Mans Series throughout the season. It's a spec class. That means all the cars are the GT3 Cup class cars from Porsche, built on the production line and then finished with the motorsport accoutrement. You can have the cars from 2010 onwards. New body shape coming in for that class, hopefully next year with the new 991. Now Core Autosport, who are at Core Autosport, tweet ALMS notes to say, we've got confirmation that Alex Popow has landed in Sheboygan and is already on his way to Road America. So this is double duty. He's been north of the border in Canada racing. I'm told he didn't have a great start to that Grand Am race, and that he may be less than happy about what happened. Had an early exit into the wall there. So that's going to be a very fired up Alex Popow, who has just 8 points of a lead between himself and Colin Brown and John Bennett. And John Bennett hasn't had such a great run actually in the early part, as we're still watching the 22 and the 11 battling for third place in GTC, half a second at the line, but much, much closer than that out on the circuit. We said at the start of the show, Jeremy, didn't we, just how great these GTC and Prototype Challenge categories are. And oh, hang on a second, I'll break for a moment because we that was actually pretty neatly done by Chris Dyson there, who's fought his way back to second position. The GTC category, though, has really added something, I think, Jeremy, to the American Le Mans Series since it came in. We've got 8 cars this weekend. Yeah, it's been really good. It's been a little bit thin for a few races early in the season, but now a good, strong entry here, and you got some real quality drivers in here as well. Great to see Jerome Bleekemolen back. Patrick Heisman, he's another multiple winner of the Porsche Michelin Super Cup in Europe over the last 10-12 years, and Damien Faulkner, and it's a really high quality field. And so to see Cooper McNeil running strongly in third place and leading in the points overall, that's him in a WeatherTech car to the left of the picture there in car number 22. Done a really nice job this season, his first full season of racing. Did some GT3 Cup last year, but now stepping up full time into the American Le Mans Series in this GTC category. As the GT leader goes through, and he was held up just a little bit there. Is there an opportunity for Ollie Gavin to close up? He was a good 2 seconds back on
the Flying Lizard of Jörg Bergmeister as we look back from the 22 of Cooper McNeil. Here comes the big V8. Look how quick that GTC car is in a straight line. That's because it's narrow and it doesn't have all the aerodynamics on it that the wide-body GT cars have.
That's right. They get to the braking area and through the corners, the GT cars are a lot more sophisticated, get through a lot quicker. But you're right, on the straightaway, those GTC cars are very slippery indeed. Just a quick note, by the way, Klaus Graf has just, last time around, set the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 52.972 for our overall race leader. He's got almost a minute's lead over Chris Dyson, and Chris's best lap so far, a 1 minute 54.1.
And there, the GTC car actually pulling back on Marco Holz's 44 Flying Lizard. That is the RSR. It looks kind of similar, both based on the venerable 911 that's been around for 50 years now. And you can't have sports car racing without a Porsche 911 in it. It's just not right. 32 car into the pit lane. We hear is answering a black flag. Now, I'm not sure what the black flag was for. It will be a stop-go. It was the improper starting driver that we heard about earlier, and they ignored it. They've been out there a long time, so clearly there's been some discussion, some dialogue between the team and the officials, but the penalty stands, and that was just a stop-go for them.
Yeah, you have to, it's a piece of paper you have to fill out on after qualifying who qualified the car and who is going to start the car. And if there's any deviation from that, you basically have to start from the back of the field. Well, they didn't do that. They just elected to change what they had nominated. Why there was a mix-up, I don't know, obviously know. But James Sophonis was down on the paperwork as going to be the starting driver, but it was Alex Welch that took the green flag, so it was he that had to serve that penalty.
And now a perfect example from On Board with Ollie Gavin, one of the world's best GT drivers, of just what multi-class racing is all about, as David Enemeyer Hansen, a non-professional driver, driving very professionally one would say, just drives past him like he's chained to a post and then does exactly the same to our GT leader. This is what multiple class racing is all about, as the P2 leader, third place overall, goes through the GT field like a dose of salts. Quite remarkable. But that is all about the fact that that GT car, probably around about 1,400 kilos, and the prototype some 300 kilos lighter than that, and also with the advantage of carbon brakes, aerodynamics, and being a purpose-built racing car, and you can't underestimate just how much difference that makes. Here comes Tony Burgess in fourth position. Scott Tucker doing a pretty good job, I've got to say, once again in the 0.55, scoring points in that car this weekend. He's back in second place, but second place is good enough. That's only a 4-point deficit to the 37 car ahead of them. And I think there's a 24-point difference, is there? Or
no, it's only 12 points.
It's only 12 points, is it, right? Excuse me.
115 to 103 from Scott Tucker and Christoph Bouchou, back to number 37 car David Heinemeier Hansen and Martin Plowman.
Extra points for winning here. Two extra points because it's a longer race, but the split between the points remain the same.
That's exactly right. As you say, just a 4-point split between first and second. Two bonus points, as you say, for the longer distance race, but still that same split between first and second.
6th and 7th in GT, behind the number 11, 4th in GTC of Chris Cumming. Antonio Garcia and Guy Cosmo together, and Guy Cosmo in the Ferrari coming up from the back of the field and slips in behind. Pretty good run for them in the ESM Scott Sharp's team.
Yeah, Guy Cosmo's done a fabulous job.
Yes, he has.
In that 02 car, starting from the back and turning some very quick laps. Got himself up to 7th place now, ahead of Dirk Müller. We were talking about the P2 cars a moment ago, and Scott Tucker there second in the class. Joe Foster is third. That's the Dempsey Racing car number 27. Back in 4th place though is Luis Diaz in the second of the level 5 cars, the number 95 car. And we just I was wondering why he was that far back. We had a word from the pit lane to ask if there's some kind of a problem, and we were told no, there wasn't a problem. Look at that, a big slide wide there by Antonio Garcia. Is that going to give Guy Cosmo a chance to get down to the inside into turn 3? Yes, it is.
That's a brilliant piece of driving there by Guy Cosmo. He saw the slight mistake by Antonio Garcia. If he'd rushed that, he would have got into the prototype. He had to be patient there, even though he had the opportunity. He's thinking, oh, I've got a position, I've got to look. He had to wait, then he pulls out, uses a little bit of the slipstream, gets position. That is such heads-up driving, you know.
Certainly is. Absolutely tremendous drive by Guy Cosmo. He's driving beautifully this season. I think he's driving perhaps the best he's ever driven.
I wouldn't argue with that.
He's super confident now. He
Watch
really
the right-hand
loves that
side.
car. Yeah, watch the right-hand side for the prototype. Not right there.
This is through one. Oh, look at the side. Tokyo drifting by Garcia. Now watch the right. He had to just breathe on the throttle there. That's a super bit.
You've really got to pay attention all around you when you're driving the cars. You talked about it several times already. 5 classes in this race. Some cars are faster, some cars are slower, and you've got to have really got to have your wits about you. We've seen several incidents during practice and qualifying over the last couple of days as a result of the closing speeds here. But that was a really heads-up piece of driving by Guy Cosmo.
Let's head down the pits and Tarakogi.
Speaking of Guy Cosmo, I was talking to him before the race. He said he hurt his back, but if the one thing that the Ferrari has as an advantage, it's the braking power and braking in entry, and we were just able to see that just right now.
Yeah, good point. Thanks, Taro. And that's a very, very stable platform as well. You look at it there. Okay, that's a GTC car,
but look how he's pulled away from Antonio Garcia on that lap.
Yeah, and Corvettes are in the form of their lives at the moment. They have been the steamroller that everyone has had to beat in the last few races. I was just wondering where Guy would have been if he'd been able to start in the grid position that his time would have allowed him to do. So, although in fairness, it was Ed Brown who qualified, so they were actually qualified quite the way back down the field. They would have been in 12th position rather in GT anyway.
Yeah, I think Guy Cosmo, there he is now turning into turn 3 with the number 3 car of Antonio Garcia right behind him. The gap from Guy Cosmo to the GT car in front of him, which is actually his teammate Johannes van Overbeek. It's only about 11 seconds, I think, last time around. So, he's turning some very, very good laps. Is Guy Cosmo in
pit
that car 02.
Pit stop for the 16. After just 37 minutes of very rapid driving up into second place. Looks like there was a little bit of bodywork flapping towards the left rear of the 16, but yes, there's just one of the little rear streaks on the car. That might just be damage from rubber being thrown on. I don't think there's been any contact there. Nothing to worry about for the Dyson Racing Inc. Mazda Lola with the big red R of Racer magazine sponsorship on the front there for the last few races. He comes in. Now, we heard fuel only for these guys. Strategy will play a part in this 4-hour race.
Yeah, and the long straights here, so the fuel consumption, if you turn up the wick on that little Mazda turbo engine, the fuel consumption goes up quite dramatically. But 38 minutes into this race, making the first pit stop, certainly a little bit sooner than I had anticipated. But you can see they're checking around there. I think probably Chris is complaining of some sort of imbalance in that car.
Well, the team told me that the fuel window is actually about 46 minutes, and I got suspicious that they might try to mix up their fuel strategy a bit. We have seen this race 4 hours in length come down to fuel so often. And it looked like there was some damage there as he pulled out the 16 on the rear. So they brought it in, they got it fueled up, and we'll see how that plays out. Right behind them, their sister car, the number 20, is in. And this is a call on fuel strategy for the 20, and why not? These guys are in no position for the championship. They just want to mix things up and play their cars the best that they can. Tony Burgess will stay behind as these guys will do a fuel-only stop on the 20. So Dyson, the first 2 of the prototypes into the pits.
Cleaning out the radiator ducts that just saw on that camera shot from the pit lane the yellow markings on the side of the left rear tyre that say Dunlop. Just had a little rub out of them. There's been a bit of side-to-side contact on the 16. That would be my assessment of that. I thought it might have just been a bit of rubber damage on the back of that 16 car, but I'll say now that there's, and look at the rubber pieces falling out of that number 20 where the guys loosened them off with their hands. But on the 16 car, I'm going to revise that and say that there's been a little bit of side-to-side contact. You could just see the rub on the sidewall of the tyre where the tyre markings had disappeared. Johnny Burgess back up to speed as he goes past one of the SRT Vipers.
Dominic Farbuck at the wheel of car number 91. It was Mark Goosens who started the other car there. About sort of 3 seconds or so off the ultimate pace in GT. But I tell you what, for just the second time out with those Vipers, that's a pretty respectable effort.
Looks like Muscle Milk are getting ready in the pit lane to bring in Klaus Graf out of the lead. That would again be slightly early for me, but they're, I'm guessing, are just covering what's going on behind them. In comes Dempsey Racing. Well, maybe it isn't. Maybe these prototypes then are just getting 40 minutes out of their tank of fuel. And here's the leader, Klaus Graf, into the pit lane.
Yeah, of course, they had to do the reconnaissance laps and the parade lap here. That's 4 miles around, so it's quite a distance here. A little bit extra mileage in the opening part of the race.
Coming down the pit lane seems slow because it is very slow indeed. It's pit lane speed limit, of course, and that is the fastest part of the circuit. And as he pulls up, Jamie Howe is waiting for him.
Klaus Graf is going to stay behind the wheel of the car. This is going to be a fuel and tire pit stop for Muscle Milk Pickett Racing, but it was a last-minute call on tires. They did have a set of scrubs up on the wall, meaning that they didn't have the shiny part on them. They had already been used this weekend, but at the last minute they did switch those out. So they are playing with some tire compounds here. Fuel's still going in. No other work can be done on the car until this fuel is complete. Klaus getting a fresh drink as he stays in. Tires going on now. Lucas Luhr watching on, the whole team watching on as this pit stop happens. Yes, they've won the last 5. It'd be easy to give up, but they have made a couple of mistakes. They've had steering issues. They had a starter motor issue at Mid-Ohio. They want to win this one trouble-free. That's their goal. Right now, it looks like the rear bodywork's coming off, so this is going to be a long pit stop for Muscle Milk Pickett Racing.
Well, I was just about to say, Jamie, that they didn't seem to be going about the tyre change with any degree of urgency, and they're looking around the Honda engine. So what has Klaus been telling them? The rear bodywork is off, and they're in the region of the electronics packs again. Possibly a leak, we're hearing from the pits to car radio, and this is not as script, Jeremy.
Certainly isn't, and you know, they've had a few little reliability niggles with this car over the last several races. At Lime Rock they had a problem, which cost them a lot of time. They came back incredibly to win the race. That was the TRG car going back behind the wall.
Correct,
there.
Good spot.
And also at Motorsport there was a little bit of a glitch there for this car, the number 6 car. But you know, by and large though, the car has been pretty reliable. Certainly this is an unscheduled stop and much longer than they had hoped for at this early stage of the race.
Means, of course, that David Annemeyer Hansen has gone into the lead in the 37 P2 car. Jamie is down in the pits and she's been doing some investigating. What's the problem?
Well, Mike Seymour, the crew chief, and the crew working on the car right now, just checked in with Lucas Luhr. He said it is a water leak. The problem, though, is they don't know where it's coming from, so they're losing valuable time on pit road right now.
There's a big kink in that water pipe there, just underneath the exhaust.
There's the 37 car, has just rejoined, I think, after a pit stop here. Okay. Coming down the hill into turn 3. David Heidemeyer Hansen just turned his best laps, and he's really done a fantastic opening stint. And Luis Diaz, back in 3rd place in this class, I think he's just come into the pits as well. And I fancy Luis Diaz must have had some sort of a problem, or a spin at the very least, to drop in that foot
of contention. Meantime, look at this on the track as we're watching side-by-side action, and the BMW number 56 goes through underneath the 17 of Wolf Hensler, and that is retaking 7th position. Wolf Hensler had nicked that place just a couple of corners before they went across the line on the start of their lap 20 with Dirk Muller on the lead. Hensler had got back through, and now they've changed back over again. Wolf Hensler just dropping away, was in 5th position. He's dropped down to 8th now, but he's not making it easy for anybody and was fighting hard there against the second of the 2 BMWs, and we can say the slower of the 2 BMWs this weekend, because the 56 car has not been able to match the speed of the 55. And look at this, Hensler's fighting back through the kink and down towards Canada Corner. I think he might have a little tickle up the inside here.
He's certainly got a run on him coming down towards Canada Corner. He ducks to the inside now under braking. He's going to go down the inside. Certainly is. Wolf Hensler, he's a racer. I mean, I know they've been struggling with the rear tyre, particularly degrading on this car. The tyre's just going off much earlier than they had anticipated. A new tyre that Falcon brought for the last race at Mid-Ohio, it's just not quite been exactly what they wanted for this car. They've been struggling this weekend, but nobody told Wolf Hensel that, as we see the BMW now pulling off onto the pit lane.
I think it's quite interesting that this 56 car has just been a wee bit off the pace. But good luck to them. They'll be fighting to get this right. You know that Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan are a team of fighters.
And of course, Joey Hand not here this weekend to drive number 56 car. He's in Germany, Nürburgring, I think, out there for the DTM. So Jonathan Summerton in for Joey Hand.
We see the 55 BMWs now in pit lane, and they're completing their driver change. Bill Oberlin out, and it's Jörg Mueller taking over the driving duties. Bill Oberlin had complained of a vibration in the car. They didn't know if it was just pickup. So earlier in that stint, it looked like they might come in, and now we see its sister car, the 56 BMW, pulling straight ahead of them. Looks like Dirk Mueller will be staying behind the wheel of the 56. Now, we oftentimes see these two cars do a split strategy. So far, we're on the same strategy, but that will probably be mixed up throughout the 4-hour race.
Well, I think because they're so far apart on the track, they may just decide to run the best strategy for each car, because they're not really getting in each other's way there. As you can see, the 55 is already down and away. The new set of Dunlop tyres goes onto the Crown Plaza 56, and 500-ish horsepower is applied liberally to the rear Dunlops, despite the pit lane speed limiter, and out goes Ted Muller back into the fray. At the head of the field, Chris Dyson, of course, is leading this, and that courtesy of problems for the number 6 car, which is still on the pit lane and has now dropped 2 laps to the leader. This is not as the Pickett Racing team would have expected.
This is exactly what Dyson Racing needs. If they're going to have any hope at all, we heard Chris Dyson say at the top of the show, if he has any chance of retaining their championship from last year, they really do need to win this afternoon, and that is indeed what they need to do. But for Muscle Milk Racing, the key now for them, if they're going to lose a lot of laps, we saw them lose 4 laps at Lime Rock Park, and they still came back incredibly through a variety of circumstances, including some very fast driving, but not solely because of that. They came back to win the race, amazingly. But Dyson Racing certainly needs to win now a sequence of races. But for Muscle Milk Racing, these guys, they need to get this car repaired and back out into the race. It doesn't really matter how far back they are, as long as they complete 70% of the race distance to ensure that they will score second place points. That now is the key for this team.
Yeah, you'll hear us talking about 70% a lot between now and the end of the race, particularly as it appertains.
Number 52 car, the PR1 Matheson Motorsports car with Rudy Juncker at the wheel, apparently off the road.
And there's the confirmation.
Oh my. Where's that coming to turn 14, I think, coming into the final corner.
And here in the distance are the rest of the field coming through. Look at the top of the hill, just got off the circuit. He's on the brakes, but he's already on the grass, and that's quite a heavy impact to the rear of that car. And I'm afraid that might be game over today for Rudy Juncker and the 52 Matheson Motorsport, the PR1 car.
You know, I don't think they'd yet made a pit stop. They must have been due in that lap, because all the other PC cars have been into the pits. And that car, at least on my scoring, is shown as having not been into the pit lane. So major disaster for PR1 Matheson, and you know, they're having won last time out at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, and again, Marino Franchitti doesn't get to drive a car that he's named for through no fault of his own. New leader in P1 and in the race, and here's why. What we thought was a regular pit stop for the HPD chassis and the Honda engine of the Muscle Milk number 6, and the guys took the bodywork off looking for a water leak.
Yeah, we thought it was just a minute or two early, but turns out to be much more than that.
And you cannot, really cannot risk the possibility of cooking the engine and having the engine go on you, because you can't change the engine even if you have the time. So
You've just got to get some precautionary work and preventative work. And there again, with a 66 car going behind the wall.
Yeah, I think that was a replay from what we saw a little while
yes,
ago.
this is the pictures from earlier.
Yeah, but the 66 car went back behind the wall there because they'd had that problem earlier on. We saw that with the whole radiator, but also the alignment wasn't right on that car, though.
Okay.
It wasn't handling right, so they came in to adjust the suspension alignment on the front of that car.
This is back to live pictures out on the circuit with Rudy Hunko's car being recovered. And that looks to me as if the Muscle Milk car is back out on the track, and my timing and scoring confirms that. So those pictures taken just a few moments ago of the car in the pit lane, so great work by the Pickett Racing team. The Muscle Milk guys have really earned their money there, looking for that water leak, and they've got Klaus Graf back out. Now, how many laps has he dropped, Jeremy? And what you've got to do is really hope that they have found it, because they cannot afford, as I say, for that engine to give up on them, certainly not before the 70% of the race. And that's the reason we keep saying this 70% is that's where you score points. Yeah, that's a good point. I've forgotten about the 20 car. That's taking points from them as well. What you're seeing now is the way that the American Le Mans Series tries to mitigate the fact that we have multiple classes in there. And when there's a full course caution, what we do is make sure that the leader is picked up, which that has been, the 16 car, and then everybody who is between the race leader and their class leader is invited to go to the right-hand side of the circuit and go to the pass around. And then if there is a set of pit stops, we possibly could have a wave by after that, but we'll get to that when we come to it. It hasn't affected the leaders. There is Chris Dyson.
Now, this is just to make sure that nobody in any of the other classes is disadvantaged by where the pace car comes out in relation to the class leaders.
So, just looking on, that is a post-it note in the middle of the steering wheel, which says fuel what? As Chris Dyson, 6.5, I think. And basically that is his fuel number that he has to hit. Now, what that all means, it doesn't matter. He's looking at the calculation on the computer of the car, and that's what he's got to hit to make his fuel mileage in the right amount of laps. As Klaus Graf back in the race then, third place in P1. There's the leader in GT. Now, the GT, as ever, has been a phenomenally busy category. Jörg Bergmeister leading, took the lead early on. And one of the big stories is the 02 ESM Ferrari. Starting at the back of the category, they had to name Anthony Lazzaro as a reserve driver for an injury that Guy Cosmo picked up yesterday when he was doing the bike ride here for charity. Guy is in the car, but Lazzaro is as a standby. And then this great battle for second and third in the category between the 44 Flying Lizard and the Corvette. And Marco Holzer has got back into second place ahead of Ollie Garvin. Now, another pair of drivers who've been really hauling and giving us plenty of excitement. Wolf Hensler and Dirk Muller. Wolf in the number 17 Falcon Porsche and the Crown Plaza BMW. Now, when they went across the line on this lap that we're watching in replay now, the Porsche was ahead, but the BMW's gone through, so that's the end of it. The BMW is going to drive away, and that would be the pass made. Remember, we're looking at a pass here for 6th and 7th position in class, not in the American Le Mans Series, as Wolf Hensler will get a much better exit from the carousel, push on through, and by the time he gets down to Canada Corner, Jeremy, he'll be alongside and taking it back, because that's how it is in GT.
Yeah, it's tremendous, isn't it? Great racing all the way through here. And I'm going to try and have a word with Marino Franchitti, who is with Taro Koki in the pit lane.
Marino, You just saw your teammate crash right now. How disappointing is that, coming off a great victory from Mid-Ohio?
Yeah, it's the highs and the lows of motorsport, unfortunately. First of all, just really happy that Rudy's okay. Very disappointed for the PR1 team this weekend. The car just went on him. He wasn't offline or anything else, so we need to find out what happened there. But as I say, as long as he's okay, that's the main thing. And I'm not sure about Baltimore, but definitely I'll be back at VIR.
Thanks.
Okay then, we're still under full course caution. The first hour is just complete. This week's Rules of the Road.
We always see the teams behind the pit wall staring at a bunch of computer screens, but have you ever wondered what it is that they're looking at? Well, the rules in P1, P2, and GT allow the teams the use of live telemetry, meaning that the car can actually send data back to the team for them to analyze. Here at Corvette Racing, they call this area mission control, and rightly so, because during every race, there are about 130 different channels of data coming back to the team, and they're doing it for safety and preventative measures like cockpit temperature, tire pressure, oil temperature, anything that's going to keep them out of trouble during the race. Using this technology is expensive, so the drivers and teams in PC and GTC don't have the luxury of a talking car, so to speak. So drivers like Jerome Bleckamole and Alex Job Racing, they have to compensate for that. Alex, as the team owner, how do you deal with not having live data coming?
Well, the driver's input's very, very important. The driver has to be, very concise, to the point. We need very quick conversation with the driver. He needs to get off the radio so we can respond. The screens, the TV screens help us a lot too.
So between the teams and the drivers, communication is clearly the key factor.
130 channels, quite remarkable. I mean, even for us inside the sport, that has just blown my head into several large pieces. Looking down the timing and scoring, it appears that the man of two races, two continents, two series, two cars, Alex Popow, has managed to do the impossible. He is in two places at once, and he's already behind the wheel of the 06 car. And that is really important for his championship.
Yeah, it certainly is. He leads the championship coming into this weekend with an 8-point margin over the other core Autosport car driven by John Bennett and Colin Brown. And we saw that John Bennett was struggling again in the early stages of this race. And here's the number 66 car with those suspension tweaks made back out into the fray. And in PC, it's Bruno Junqueira who leads now for RSR Racing. Alex Popov slots into second place in the 06 core Autosport car. And Antonio Downs is once again doing a fantastic job for Merchant Services Racing. That's in car number 7, holds down third place in PC.
So in behind the safety car as the cleanup continues after the 52 incident. Good to hear from Marino Franchitti, Rudy Junco's teammate, that he is okay. They've talked to him on the radio.
Yeah, but bad news. The car apparently is now officially retired from the race, and that's certainly bad news for their championship aspirations. They were a long way back coming into this weekend. They were 54 points behind core Autosport, PR1 Matheson Motorsports, but still second place in PC. But now with no points scored this afternoon because they will not have reached the 70% distance, then they won't score any points at all this afternoon. So almost certainly will lose second place in the team standings to either RSR Racing or Merchant Services Racing.
And the thing is, for the teams who are outside of a chance of winning any of the championships, it's about winning races now as we come into the last 4 races of the season. And that's a big blow to the 52 team. They've just hit a rich vein of form. Everything seems to be going their way. And once again, they've got accident damage. As in comes the leading GT cars. Here they come. Up the hill, the 2 Lizards. Now they're going to pit their cars together. There's a potential for problem here. Only one of the Corvettes in so far, as Garcia in the 3 car looks to me to have stayed out.
And we saw also the BMWs, they stopped earlier as well, so they will also stay out. So they will leapfrog to the front when these guys make their pit stops under caution.
That's a very, very good point. It's the top 4 who pit, and that means Jörg Muller in the 55. Guy Cosmos come in as well in the 02. Hensler in the 17. Sasha Masson in the Chopard Porsche. And down at the Lizards, double trouble for Jamie Howe.
It is. The 45 and the 44 both came in, but even though they're on pit road at the same time, it is a split strategy in terms of driver changes. The 45 car, Jörg Bergmeister got out, handed duties over to Patrick Long, whereas on the 44, Marco Holzer is going to stay in double stint. Both teams right now, fuel still going in. It looks like both cars will take tires up on the jacks at the exact same time. We don't see this often from the Flying Lizard camp, but these guys right now, they're competing against each other. Teamwork is vital in sports car racing. They believed that the pit strategy was going to be everything. 45 got out way ahead.
And Corvette just finishing up it was the number 4, and it was a good stop for them. They come out just behind the 45 Flying Lizard car. There was a driver change on the number 4. The young American Tommy Milner taking over for the Englishman Ollie Gavin, and it was a clean stop for Corvette. They've got 4 new Michelins and a full load of fuel.
And 3 cars, count them, between the 2 Lizards that came in bumper to bumper. And that's what happens if you even just make a tiny error in the pit lane. Big winners there, the 2 ESM Ferraris. Remember Guy Cosmo starting at the back of the field, and they have rocketed up to 3rd and 4th position of this group. But don't forget, the 55 BMW did not stop on that run through. There will be cars ahead of them who did not stop on that pit lane cycle. And as they come round to the start-finish line, I think we'll see the 55 Crown Plaza BMW, the Rahal Letterman Lanigan car, with Jörg Muller behind the wheel. Remember that stop just a little bit earlier. I think they will have cycled to the front. But first of all, great pit work from the guys all up and down pit lane. Loved the fact that the Lizards were fighting against each other. And how about that shot we got of the Corvette going out from ground level? Great job by the guys in the pit lane, our guys in the pit lane. Top teamwork as ever.
Yeah, guys and girls in the pit lane. Super interviews, ladies. That was fun, and super pit stops. I mean, you know, that's how competitive it is. The number 44 car, the stop was what, maybe 2 or 3 seconds longer, and you say lost 3 positions as a result of that. Certainly a very good stop there by that number 4 Corvette. The driver changes have taken place there. They did a driver change, as did the number 45 Flying Lizard Porsche, and I think it seemed to me that the Corvette came out a little bit closer to the Porsche that he came in, but they were both almost identical pit stops.
Great start to the race to Jörg Bergmeister, got rid of the pole-sitting teammate and then led into the pit lane and has handed over the 45 car in the lead, Jamie.
And Jörg Bergmeister, you told me before the start of the race you thought there were 3 key factors: tire wear, strategy, and pit work. You guys have performed so far. How is the car right now?
So far, no problems. I just tried to stay out of trouble. I was a little lucky on the start that my column accelerated a little quicker, so I could get by Marco, and from there on I just drove my own race and was watching the mirrors a bit. The thing here is, if you follow someone closely, you pick up a huge amount of understeer in all the quick corners and destroy your tires, and I think that's kind of what happened to some of the other cars.
We've seen some issues out on the track. We had some fluid leaking, some cars went off, brought some gravel back on. What condition is the track in right now?
In certain sections it's fairly slippery, but then other sections like 5, 6, the track really gripped up already, and you can feel that there's a lot more roll in the car. So I assume towards the end of the race we're going to see even more grip on the track, and that should improve the lap times even more.
Patrick Long is in the car now. You did a single. Will Patrick do a single or a double?
I don't know. That's up to Thomas, but I assume he's going to do a double, and then I will finish again.
Thomas Baum, one of the best strategists in the business here at Flying Lizard.
Cool, is he ever? Just to keep himself sharp when he's away from the racetrack, he plays 3D chess. 3D chess, by the way. No, it really is a sport. Go and look it up. What you heard Jörg Bergmeister talking about there, picking up understeer when you get too close to the car. Now, most times you hear drivers talk about that, Jeremy, it's in single-seater or formula cars because the front aerodynamics is not working. And when you get too close to the car ahead, effectively you're in a bit of disturbed air or the hole in the air, if you like, that the guy is making in front. Surprising to hear that it is so prevalent in the GT cars, but that is how well developed the front of these cars. Look how wide the front of these cars are.
Yeah, much bigger tyres on those cars this year compared to last, and you have to. Tyre management is a crucial part of these racing, and you heard Jörg Bergmeister say it there. You know, it's interesting to see the relative pace of the cars in practice and in qualifying and in the race. And once again, those Lizard Porsches very, very quick in the race.
4th position, by the way, for the Flying Lizard of Pat Long, the 45 car in its class as it's come out of the pit lane. Ahead, we have the BMW of Jörg Müller, the 55, Tonio Garcia in the 3, and Dirk Müller in the 56. They were the big beneficiaries of not coming in, but remember, they are now off strategy for the remainder of the race. So we've got some, this is fabulous. This is proper sports car racing.
Isn't it just?
It's Le Mans in miniature.
It's wonderful. I'm just looking now at the best lap that the leaders have turned so far in this race. For Jörg Müller, he's doing a 2 minutes 6.9. Antonio Garcia's best in that opening stint was a 2:07.7, same as Dirk Müller in number 56 BMW. And the best lap turned by Jörg Bergmeister was a 2:06.5. Tommy Milner, well, that was Oliver Gavin, drove the first stint, 2:06.6. So I think the quicker cars are a little bit farther back, but certainly that Bill Auberlin turned a very good lap in that BMW in the early stint.
The safety car lights are out, and right up the tailpipes is Chris Dyson as he leads the rest of the field through. That looks like Junqueira in 2nd place in the line. Indeed it is. Bruno leading Prototype Challenge in the number 9. Now, this was just a few moments ago, Jeremy. You said you liked the look of this. Look at the pit stops. Out comes Pat Long. Remember, he's dropped to 4th, but look at the 2 ESM cars getting in between. Where's the Corvette? Oh, there he is. I'll just nip into 2nd in the line. Pops out from stage left. Absolutely magnificent stuff. And when people say that motor racing isn't a team sport, just look at that there as the guys from ESM made up positions and track time by their work in the pits.
And I reckon through that first stint, the top 5 cars in GT within about 0.2 of a second each other in terms of their best lap time as we go back to green.
With 2 hours and 48 minutes on the clock. So still more than a full American Le Mans Series standard race to go. And look at that. The 2 cars at the head of the field are Chris Dyson leading, and right behind him is Klaus Graf, 4 laps behind. But can he get through? Oh, look at the BMW. He's having to defend all the way down the hill as we go on board with Scott Tucker in the level 5, 0:55, and that is the class leader now right ahead, the grey and the orange of David Enemeyer Hansen. So the 2 non-professional drivers coming down to turn number 5. Ahead of them is Bruno Junqueira in the leading PC car. Behind them is the 2nd place P1 car of Tony Burgess. So there are 3 of the different categories, all prototypes, 3 different classes in 4 cars on the same piece of tarmac all at the same time.
Yeah, great stuff. This is going to be an exciting few laps here for these guys, and you know that Klaus Graf is going to want to get one of these laps back as soon as he can. Look at the Twitter note there from Muscle Milk Racing. Had a water leak, but we're back on track now. 4 laps down, 3 hours, 5 minutes to go. Lots of racing left. Never give up is the note there from Puckett Racing.
That is the 33 car. I think it's the 33 car, but it was one of the leading GTCs.
Yeah, Brian Wong, I think.
And that looked like a puncture.
Inside.
1 lap back from the 6 car. We've got ourselves a motor race again, Jeremy.
3 laps, so he's got to make up, and that's 12 miles here. 4 laps at Lime Rock Park is only 6 miles. Here, 4 laps is 16 miles. That's a whole different kettle of fish here. But as I said before, it's going to depend now how and when the caution periods fall as to whether that number 6 car can get really back into contention.
Yeah, don't forget, he's still in 3rd place.
Yeah.
He's not in 2nd place, so the points differential is greater than it would normally be.
7-point differential.
Yeah, and that is good news for the 16 car and keeps the championship alive as Klaus Graf tries to head away. We've got 2 hours and 46 minutes to go. There are your leaders celebrating a birthday this weekend. It's the big 3-0 for Brian Sellers, so there has to be a cake and a party. Is he going to eat it or wear it? Back to racing in the American Le Mans Series here at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Beautiful road, America. And the GT battle keeps our attention. I could just record that and replay it almost at every single event that we come to. There are the two ESM Ferraris. Evidence of some grass cutting on the intakes of both the 01 and the 02 cars. Sitting in 7th and 8th at the moment. Antonio Garcia in the number 3 Corvette has got to the lead of that class, passing the BMWs of Dirk and Jörg Müller. So Antonio Garcia staying out. His teammate in between the two flying lizards there.
Yeah, Jörg Müller took the lead at the restart in caliber 55, now down to 3rd place in that class.
Yeah, and improvement as well for the 44 flying lizard of Marco Holzer. He's got past those two Ferraris that jumped him in the pit lane.
That's true.
So that's been a bit of a shuffle around. It's GT racing, what do you expect? Get a whole load of numbers, throw them up in the air and see where they fall on the desk. And at any given time, that could well be the order of the cars. There you can see the leader, not too far ahead, Jeremy. Garcia there is what? Oh, we're only talking about 3 or 4 seconds between 1st and 9th position in class.
That's right, you can see the Corvette there leading the two BMWs. The second of the Corvettes there just tucked in behind the Patrick Long Porsche. That's the one with the yellow shade band. The blue shade band is Marco Holzer, and then the two ESM Ferraris with Scott Sharp and Guy Cosmo tucked in right behind as well, and Brian Sellers not very far back in the Falcon Porsche either. He's in 9th place.
Holzer down the hill, having a little dodge out there, forced the Corvette of Tommy Milner to go a little bit defensively into turn 1. That's a very, very quick entry to that corner, and you do really sacrifice speed, but the cubic inches of the big front engine V8 helping him down the hill.
A couple of pit stops there after we're going back to green. The number 8 PC car, the merchant services car, the pole winning car, was just on the pit lane, as was the championship leader in GTC, car number 22, Cooper McNeil, handing over to Jerome Blakemolen.
Right, maybe that they're just playing the strategy card early. The two ASM Ferraris have swapped round. The 02 now ahead of the 01, so that has Guy Cosmo ahead of the team boss, Scott Sharp. He's done a great job, you know, Scott Sharp, getting this team together. Plump for Ferraris and the 458 very early on in the car's development, and in fact they have helped develop the car through the past couple of seasons. They were the first of the customer teams to take the paddle shift transmission when it became available and help Ferrari refine and develop that. And they've, you know, they are due results, no doubt about that. They've been one of the most stalwart of competitors in the GT category. Coming back off the yellow flag, look at the improvements in Guy's times there. 11 down to an 8, down to a 7, as the temperatures and pressures go up in the Michelin tyres. Let's head into prototype challenge. And Bruno Junqueira started this part of the race after the yellow flag in the lead. Alex Popow has made the trip down from Canada and is just 1.3 seconds behind. Look for the 06 Core Autosport car as these guys are battling. There it is, just coming over the top of the hill down towards 5 as Joe Foster goes through and puts a lap on Bruno Junqueira. Not in the same category, those two cars, of course. The 27 blue and white Dempsey Racing machine currently running 4th in P2, 6th overall. So Junqueira just looking behind him. And it's Popow, Downs, Endy, all in, well, within 3 seconds behind. So a pretty good scrap for second and down. Sadly missing the 52 car, Jeremy, of PR1 Matheson Motorsport, after Rudy Junko had that incident.
Yeah, and the 05 car, of course, Motorsport, Jonathan Bennett, he's a lap down. Oh, there's the number 31 car. We saw that car in a gravel earlier on, and yet more damage now.
Yes, the parts bill's getting longer and more expensive for Angel Benitez.
Pit.
Yes. And we're hearing that Scott Tucker has been off the circuit as well, as the NGT Porsche Cup car comes in and gets down to the 60 kilometres an hour speed limit. Now we're on board with Scott Tucker. That all looks straight and good. Let's find out what happened to him. Turn 10. Well, I was going to say not a good place to go off, but now look, there's the slippery surface flag there for the NGT car. I would surmise, and Scott clearly just got on the fluid.
Did a good job to keep that down from getting beached in the gravel there. You can see as he comes into the corner, back end comes around and he does his best to keep it under control.
He's done a very good job there.
Yeah.
It'd have been very easy to panic brake there, Jeremy, and just lock everything off and go off backwards, and then he'd have been stuck. And he's held on to second place in his category there, and he was only a second or so behind Tony. Sorry, no, he was about 10 seconds behind Tony Burgess.
He's now about 10 seconds behind, I think. He was only within a couple of seconds or so.
Yes.
Just a quick note also about the prototypes. The number 6 car, it's still 3 laps down Klaus Graf, but a lap or so ago, he set the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 51.4. And in the meantime, the best lap that Chris Dyson has done is in the race-leading Lola Mazda, 153.8.
Let's find out what happened to that NGT car. That looks like a flat grey as if it's in primer. It's actually sparkly. It's really nice. Look at the outside of the track. Oh, he's gone into the bridge. That's coming down through 8, yes. I would, again, say he's probably gone a little bit deep into that corner, missed his braking point, got on the grass and then couldn't get it back. Easy to do there, downhill braking.
Yeah, got a bit behind on the steering coming out of that corner, I think, and
you might be right.
Nosed it into the barriers there. So that's a shame for the NGT guys. Good to see that team back in the action here, and Ramiz and the guys there at NGT. They're hoping to do most of the rest of the races now until the end of the season, and then they're certainly planning a full attack on GTC in 2013.
Milner and Holzer, 5th and 6th, and then the 2 of the Ferraris behind them. Ahead of that battle, you might have just got a quick flash of Pat Long in the other silver and red Porsche. He's in 4th place, not that far up the road. There he is, just going through the kink. And he is some 3 seconds away from Dirk Muller, who is back in the lead. So there's another change at the head of GT. Antonio Garcia was in the lead. Now he's between the 2 BMWs again. So Dirk Muller and the 56 car, all of a sudden that performance has woken up and they lead. And there's the battle for second. Just behind them as the WeatherTech Alex Job car is involved in that scrap as well. He is in the GT category. Jerome Blinkenmolen will be all eyes on his mirrors.
Yeah, interesting to see that number 22 car chose to make a pit stop under the green after that restart. It's an interesting decision to do that. Cost him quite a lot of track position, but I think he will still remain on the lead lap with the other contenders in GTC, albeit a long way back on the road.
Could be something to do with the driver times, of course. They might have been working backwards from a driver time. Each of the classes have a minimum and a maximum that is allowed for drivers for the car to be eligible to score points. And depending on whether it is a all-pro category or a pro-am category, the penalty could be just loss of points for the driver, or it could be exclusion of the car. So it might just be that they had the stopwatches running. Now, here is the 56 BMW of Dirk Muller, comprehensively out-dragging the Corvette, which was on our right-hand side. And look, he's turned in at exactly the normal place there, down in towards turn 10 Canada corner. And as you can see here, he's clearly must have got a great run through the kink. He gets to what is going to be the outside. It is the shorter run at this point, but look, he's already through there into the braking area. That is a very strong move indeed by Dirk Muller. And back to the lead in the Crown Plaza M-Power BMW.
Yeah, a great move there, certainly. That car really has come on strong. Just you talk about Jerome Blinkenmolen and that number 22 car being strategy. I think you're right, because by my reckoning, that car made a pit stop about an hour and 14 minutes into the race. The minimum time that the amateur driver has to do in the Pro-Am classes is an hour and 10 minutes here, John.
So they kept him out until they were sure they'd done that. Meant, as you said, that they've lost position, but effectively now Blinkenmolen can drive all the way till the end if he can.
Yeah, which won't be a problem for someone like Jerome Blinkenmolen. And if there's another caution, then he's right back in it and then looking good from there.
Yeah, very clever stuff from the guys.
One of the core cars going to pit lane?
It was the 05 of John Bennett. He hasn't had a great run at the start of this. Second place equally in the PC. And there is the PC leader of Bruno Junqueira. Alex Popo leads his two teammates by just 8 points in the driver's standings, and Bruno Junqueira leads Alex Popo by 2.5 seconds. And there is third, and in fact that's a pass for position. Duncan Endy in the red, white and blue Dempsey Racing car has just got by the Downs-driven car, Anthony Downs in the 7. And meantime, here's the pit stop for John Bennett.
And it's full service for Core Autosport. John Bennett out, his co-driver Colin Braun in. That's Aaron Hamilton, their driver assist, helping him. He's the only one that's allowed to touch the car while that fueling was going on. Fueling is already complete, so it's still strapping Colin in. They are not going to take tires on this, so these Michelins are going to do a double stint. Colin's still getting all of his belts plugged in, his radio plugged in. Car's fired up, and he's out.
That was a little bit too long on the driver change there. You should be able to get the driver change done before the fueling is done, and you can see he's still doing up his belts there, Jeremy.
Yeah, he is, but certainly again, that's get the amateur driver out and get Colin Braun in. But I think he's already a lap down. But Colin Brown's been busy lately. He was he spent a couple of days on the simulator rig up at Multimatic over the last week. Not with this team actually, but with Level 5 Motorsports, for which his father, Jeff Brown, is the chief engineer there. And Colin Braun did a lot of work on that simulator, setting up the Level 5 P2 car for this race, ironically.
How difficult that is then, because it's so lifelike now, all the simulators. Yes. How difficult it is then to jump into this car, which is a very different beast.
Yeah.
And get into it. The engine characteristics, the handling characteristics, very different.
Well, it is quite different. Actually, I was talking to Tony Burgess this morning, who this weekend is driving number 20 car for Dyson Racing, the P1 car, but in alternate races he'll be driving in the PC class as well for Merchant Services Racing. That is what, in fact, what he will be driving I think 2 weeks' time at Baltimore. And he said it's very different hopping between the P1 car and the PC car, because you know this it actually said this car, the PC car, is a lot more difficult to drive than is the P1 car. Yeah, the P1 car, it's so sophisticated, it does a lot more things better for you than the PC car, which is just a it's a spec car, and they want the car to be as easy to drive as they can, but it doesn't have the driver aids that the P1 cars do.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Let's get a chat with Tony about that. That's something I'd like to pursue. We're watching that PC battle at the moment. Leading the category, Bruno Junqueira. Alex Popo in second. Has gained a little bit last time around, about 0.3 of a second, but it's still over 2 seconds at the lead, so we're not missing any wheel-to-wheel action as we watch the Dempsey Racing car getting held up, and that's going to cost him a position. Duncan Endy's going to have to give that up to Antonio Downs, and he has, as Anthony goes through. And that was a slight bit of indecision there by Duncan Endy, and it's not often I get to say that. Came up behind the GTC Porsche that's just gone through there, the blue and white machine, and just for a moment couldn't decide whether to go left or right, and in that split second, that was all it took for Antonio Downs in the number 7, the bright yellow coloured machine, to take his opportunity. He had the momentum, he had the track position, and now he has gone back up into third position. So Junqueira in the number 9 from the 06 of Alex Popo, then the 25 of Duncan Endy, and Antonio Downs in the 7 back down into fourth position. That's in the PC category. Chris Dyson still leads by 30 seconds at the head of the field from the teammate. That's 16 and 20. In first and second, David Heinemeier Hansen is the best of the P2 category cars, the 37 in first place. Their third position overall, and 5 seconds ahead of his nearest rival, who is now the 95 of Luis Diaz. Let's go back and look at how that place changed. Jeremy, look at this.
Yeah, and again, just the 25 car there with Duncan Endy just held up a little bit coming off the carousel, and it allowed Antonio Downs to just have better momentum off there, carrying it into the kink, and Duncan Endy, nothing he could do there. He had to cede that position.
No, he couldn't manufacture any more speed there, and he'd given up. You said momentum, and that's exactly right. This is because it's such a high-speed track, if you're off the throttle for a millisecond more than you need to, and there's a big back end, and he's lost some of the carbon fibre bodywork from the front right-hand side. You can see the end plate flapping in the breeze there. Duncan Endy just losing the back end of the car coming up under the bridge at 6. And off has gone the third place PC car. Again, we've got the slippery surface or debris flag there, the yellow and red striped flag, and it looks like Antonio Downs didn't see that, or if he did, he couldn't react quick enough. There's some debris in the middle of the road there. Maybe he panicked when he saw that. It seems third position in PC is a position that nobody wants.
It does, doesn't it? It's 2 instances there in consecutive laps for the third place car in the class. There it is, a replay. You can see that slippery surface flag, a flash of it as we went past around the corner, and around goes Anthony Downs.
Now, as he pulls away here, you might just be able to see there's a bit of debris. Yeah, that's something to do the underside of the car. Very good. Now, he's got to calm himself down now, Jeremy, hasn't he? Because he'll feel that was probably his mistake. And now he's, you know, it's a natural thing to want to make up all of that ground the very next lap or the very next corner.
Yeah, and it's the 3 Downs brothers sharing that car this weekend. Anthony, Lucas and Matt, ALM. And if you look at their drivers' names on the side of the car, there's ALM and they've got an S below that as well.
Very good.
Which is quite clever.
Yeah.
3 great guys though, and you know they all can pedal these cars. They've got quite a bit of experience in the Cooper Lights Prototype Lights Cooper Tires Prototype Lights category, and now stepping up into PC, and all of them have got pretty good speed.
Yeah, poster boys for the championship then is
absolutely.
all the right initials.
We just talked about Luis Diaz. You know, he's edging closer. He's just set the fastest lap of the race. No, he hasn't actually. He's still behind. Scott Tucker's got the fastest lap of the race in P2 at the moment. But that number 95 car of Luis Diaz is creeping closer to David Heinemeier Hansen and at number 37 Morgan Nissan. There's Anthony Downs, so he's back up to speed now. And he's going to trying to track down Duncan Endy one more time. You see a flash there of the TRG car. You can see there is still some damage on the right front. The headlight is missing from that number 66 car, but it is back out in the race. And a couple of other cars in that class have had problems as well, but it's 20 laps behind the leaders is Spencer Pumpelly in car number 66.
Head of the field, Chris Dyson still leads by over 30 seconds. Tony Burgess still in second in the 20 car, 16 from 20 from 37, the best of the P2 cars. And a bit of a battle starting to shape up there between Heinemeier Hansen and Luis Diaz, who's closed down. He has found the speed in the 95 level 5 car and has now closed down to about a second away from the front of the P2 field. Now, interestingly, I wonder if Heinemeier Hansen might just be being held up a little bit by Tony Burgess. On board now with the 95. 2 cars ahead, not the Porsche, but the next prototype. That's the leader in class.
In P2, yeah, yes. Just turning into turn 6 at the top of the hill. There, though, is Luis Diaz at the wheel of car number 95. He's made one extra pit stop than the other contenders in P2, and I still think he must have had a spin or some sort of a mishap earlier on in the race. But now getting up to speed and trying to track down that Morgan Nissan in front of him. That battle, as we've seen some super battles between these 2 cars and/or the 055, the second of the level 5 motorsports cars, all the way through this season.
I said I'd keep you updated with the Green X Challenge. Clean, fast and efficient. And very quickly was the prototypes. And here is Corvette Racing leading on the Grand Touring side of things, but not by much. It tends to be very, very small margin in that particular category. Meantime, the leader is on pit road, and there is the visual confirmation, and that's about right. He is, if you remember, got about 40, just over 40 minutes. Just under 40 minutes, 37 minutes from memory. And in comes the 16, the Mazda-powered Dyson Lola Coupe. 2 hours, 25 minutes on the nosy still to go. And this 60 kilometers an hour at what should be the fastest part of the pits, part of the circuit, must be an absolute nightmare. And Kelly Stavist is awaiting the arrival of not 1, but 2 of the Dyson cars.
We see Chris Dyson bringing the 16 Dyson Mazda Lola to a stop as they clean the windshield and give him fuel. This is a team that has been down on speed and down on luck this season. Guy Smith, Chris Dyson's teammate, admitting to me earlier that it has gotten a bit frustrating as they continue their testing on this new car, which they received right at the beginning of the season. The Muscle Milk machine will come around and get another one of its laps back as the Dyson car sits here in pit lane to do its full service stop. We see him start taking off these Dyson tires. Those are wide front Dyson tires. That's been one of the struggles that this team has had, is getting those tires to work well with this Lola chassis. There's a delay here.
Oh.
And now we see them send the signal down.
So the 6 car's got a couple of laps back, but obviously owes us his next pit stop. Depending on whether he takes tyres or not, will depend on whether he loses one of those laps back. By the way, I should say that Klaus Graf is back up to 26th position overall. Still third in P1. The important thing for him is to get the second. If he can't get any further, it is to get the second in the P1 category, and therefore reduce the amount of points differential between the 16 car and themselves. It will be a break of a 5 consecutive race wins for that car. Let's go back to PC, and there is P2 rather, and there is the battle for the lead, Jeremy, coming through the final corner.
Yeah, and second place overall there. We're on board with Luis Diaz, and directly in front of us is David Heinemeier Hansen, who both of these two started the race in these respective cars. The third place car of Scott Tucker, he's only about 10 seconds farther back down the road as well. This now, of course, they take over the lead with the Dyson car making that pit stop. So David, it's in fact now the battle for the lead as they go around turn one more time. This is on lap 44.
The Morgan badge chassis with the Nissan power plant as against the HPD with the Honda power plant, and the 17 of Brian Sellers just getting involved there. He had nowhere to go as the leaders of the race come side by side through the little kink that is turn number 4 and down into the heavy braking area. Heinemeier Hansen's on the inside, being very defensive indeed. Luis Diaz trying to play the outside in game and tries now to dodge to the left-hand side, going under the bridge. He's not quite there. Big slide by Heinemeier Hansen as the number 8 car ahead of him is also now in play as well and gets in the line. Oof. Oh my goodness. And then once again, Jeremy, working through different categories of traffic. We've seen 4 different classes of car there within 50 metres of the track.
Great stuff. And again, David Heinemeier Hansen, he committed himself to the inside line, coming down the back straight towards turn 5. You're allowed to do that, to make that defensive line. What he would not have been allowed to do is move back again to the outside of the racetrack. Great dicing going on here.
While David Heinemeier Hansen is not the pro in the car, he has improved his driving skills a lot over the last 12 months, and it's really going to be key today because his co-driver Martin Plowman, who is the pro in the car, he's battling a stomach flu, so he is yet to get in the car right now. David Heinemeier Hansen having to pull double duty and do everything that he can for the team today.
And through goes Luis Diaz to take the lead away from Heinemeier Hansen. Just again, an opportunist manoeuvre. Hansen had to get out of the power. And as he goes through onto the back straight, and that again is just all about momentum. Now, what happened to the 055 car, we might ask? Answer, here he is coming up the hill. Let's go back in time and find out why he dropped back. And there is that big slide again. I think that was a pretty good save actually by Scott Tucker, particularly got another chance to see the onboard. Here it is, comes down, slippery surface flag is out. The back end locks up, but he's very, very soft with his hands. No big movements as he comes in the corner, and no panic braking. That's the key to that, Jeremy.
It certainly is, and you know, he's come on so much in his driving this season.
Drives a lot, though.
Well, this weekend he's driving in 5 races. He's doing this 4-hour race in which he's going to drive 2 different cars for Level 5 Motorsports. He's also already done 2 races in the Coupetage Prototype Light Series and 2 races in the GT3 Cup Challenge. Amazing.
He's getting his money's worth, though, isn't he?
Boy.
Dirk Muller leads the GT category for BMW, and there is the lead. It's substantial. 6 seconds back across the line last time around to Antonio Garcia, and there is Long going through, and then it's the battle really is for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Jörg Muller in the 55 BMW. In fact, no, Guy Cosmo's gone through. Guy Cosmo's gone through ahead of that BMW. That's a change of position. So Cosmo up to 4th, Jörg Muller down to 5th, Scott Sharp in 6th position.
What a drive from Guy Cosmo. Injured back and all. He's got himself all the way from the back of the pack up into 4th place. Absolutely charging is Guy Cosmo. The best lap he has done so far, 2:06.7. The best lap set in this class so far, set earlier on by Jörg Bergmeister way back on lap 7.
So
as the race leaders picking their way through as well. Luis Diaz there had to lift off the gas a little bit to get past that BMW, but he leads across the line on lap 45. David Heinemeier Hansen still tucked in behind, trying to make a move down to the inside of the BMW into turn 1.
He might get a bit of a run into turn 1 as well, Jeremy. I think he'd be a little closer as he comes out. Yeah, he slides the car right to the rumble strip. This is the opportunity. Danger time for Luis Diaz, because he's the first of the leading cars who get to the traffic. He's the guy, he kind of wakes up everything that's going on. Now let's go back to PC, and it's still Bruno Junqueira by about 6.5 seconds from Popow. And then in third place, Duncan Endy has now pulled out on Antonio Downs. He's 3 seconds behind second place, but some 14 seconds ahead of the 7 car in 4th position. Your leader then, the red number 9 with the distinctive yellow helmet of Bruno Junqueira across the line to complete his 44th lap around the Road America circuit. Remember, this is a time certain race, and we have 2 hours and 18 minutes of it remaining. And that's what a 6-second lead looks like. Actually, 6 seconds sounds a lot, but round here it doesn't look a lot, does it?
No, and as we've seen several times, if you get held up in the wrong place here at the kink or coming up through Canada corner at the sort of the S's before the start-finish line, you can easily lose 2 or 3 or 4 seconds, perhaps even more than that. So, 6 seconds can disappear. A lead of 6 seconds can disappear very, very rapidly.
Now look behind, there's third place.
He's doing a nice job in third place there. That's the Dempsey Racing car number 25. He's had a little bit of damage on the right front. We saw him off the road a little bit earlier on, but it doesn't seem to have affected the pace of this car.
He was having a great battle early on with Antonio Downs. And if you watch behind, that is Downs behind him at that point. And he gets held up by the GMG Porsche. Downs says, thank you very much, I'll have a bit of that. And that was where he lost third place, Duncan Endy. It's very unusual for Duncan to have that problem, but then next lap around, or a couple of laps certainly, no more than, Antonio gets on the brakes a little bit hard. There was a flag out there, and through goes Duncan to retake third place. That is the 16 of Chris Dyson down in 5th position, just going by the number 1, the leading PC car, the number 9 of Bruno Junqueira. 2 hours and 16 minutes still to go here at Road America. We're getting into the important part of the season with just 3 more rounds to go of America's premier sports car series. Now, sad news to bring to you now that Mike Hewland passed away this morning. You'll know the name. He was a gearbox innovator whose transmission were used by almost all Formula 1 cars from the mid-60s right the way through to the mid-80s. Owned a company called Hewland Engineering, named after him. We sad to say that Mike Hewland has passed away today. He was 89 years old, and our condolences go to friends and family. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Road America, on board with the 95 of Luis Diaz, who is leading the race with just over the 2 hour mark. Oh, the Viper, the 93 Viper's gone off, and look at the skid marks there. That's been a very, very violent off as he's gone off on driver's right. What a shame for Tommy Kendall, back in motor racing after, well, he's actually had a couple of comebacks, but he's been away for quite some time, and he's been part of the development of the SRT Motorsports Viper. Now, these Vipers are built pretty tough. We saw at Mid-Ohio contact with the wall, and the car drove away. Not sure it's going to happen here. Look at the... Oh, he's run off the end of the curb. Gets hard on the brakes. It's the world's most expensive grass cutter at this point, and this is going to be heavy. Ow, ow, ow. Oh. And look at the rear suspension. I'm sure he took his hands off the wheel there. And
he's not going to be driving away from that one too
no,
fast,
he's not.
I think.
You can see the bright orange helmet of Tommy Kendall in there. He's moving around in the car. In fact, you see him moving his hands on the steering wheel for a moment. He'll be talking to the pits. That normally immaculately prepared Viper. The Riley organisation doing a great job getting those cars to the track, and it will bring out our second full course caution as that car is on the wrong side of the track to be recovered easily, Jeremy. Now, This is interesting because now I'm going to say to you 2 words: GT pit stops. Because we had that split in strategy, but now does this pull everybody back together? You've got to, haven't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everybody's got to come in. You can't risk it.
No, I don't think so. We've been green for about, what, 35 minutes. So you're a bit more than halfway through a stint. It might be worth a gamble, particularly on this long track here.
Yeah.
So you can see Lucas Luhr getting ready to take it over from Klaus Graf in car number 6. This will be good timing for those guys.
Yes. This is great because they won't lose a lap doing their pit stop, and they would have been due in shortly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but the Dyson car has already been into the pits, hasn't it? So this is.
He's not going to lose as much track time, for sure, as the LMS safety crew gets to the guys. In fact, that's the guys from here at Road America who have got to Tommy Kendall. The thumbs up is the best news that we get. That's the first thing that tells us about the condition of the driver, and if the driver is awake and talkative, you get a big thumbs up straight away. As the Porsche intervention vehicle from the American Le Mans Series, that is the Dr. Porsche, if you like. Fast intervention Porsche Cayenne comes in to make sure that everything is okay. So whilst we're not racing, we've got an opportunity to tell you that Luis Diaz is still racing at the head of the field. Now it's all about the round black things at each corner. And what about the different compounds? Well, let's find out all about tyres.
Deciding which compound tires to use here at Road America is a tough call. There are both high and mid-speed corners, there's some heavy braking and elevation changes. Plus, the left side tires get stressed more than the right. Michelin engineers say managing tire heat and stress while keeping lap time stable is the key. The goal is to find the right combination of grip, consistency, and wear. It's what Michelin calls balance of performance, and it basically means they want it all. So, some teams have a split setup with harder tires on the left and mediums on the right. And 1 or 2 teams have even tried a soft compound tire on just the right front. So that makes for 3 different tire compounds on just 1 set of tires. Now the trick is to have them wear at the same rate so that they're consistent over a full stint.
And we should say that Michelin don't recommend that any of its street customers have different compounds of tyres on their car. We used to say a few years ago about not mixing bias and cross plies and radials, or bias and radial tyres as well. It's the same sort of thing. You really should have a matched set of tyres on your car. What the guys do in racing are very, very scientific indeed. So we're under our second full course caution, Jeremy, and at the head of the field is the race leader, and look who is sitting in behind there. The Muscle Milk car is next in line. Now they should get a pass around.
No, they won't get a pass around because they're not on the same lap as the leader in P1. So
yes,
they won't get the pass around, and they
I'm so
will.
pleased you read the rules.
Yeah, well, they'll have to make a stop now. If he had been on the same lap, then yes, this would have been a massive advantage for car number 6. But because he isn't, he's going to have to, I think, make it. Well, he will be making a pit stop, as will the number 95 there, Luis Diaz. Actually, the timing of this caution is bad for Luis because the other contenders in P2 had made their pit stops before this caution period, so they will not need to come back on pit lane. Luis Diaz will, so he'll go to the back of the pack. And let's have a shout out for, in 3rd place overall, he was 2nd until just a few minutes before the caution came out, Joe Foster, driving the number 27 car for Dempsey Racing. He's done a super job. He had a big crash a week ago at Watkins Glen, and he's driving here with an injured ankle and a couple of cracked ribs, which cannot be much fun at all. But he's got himself up now to 3rd place overall. Well done, Joe.
Yeah, and turning some very competitive times in that car. As we've said before, downforce is not an easy thing to get used to. You actually have to drive faster to get the car to work. and that big invisible hand pushing down is something you have to have complete and utter faith in. So pits are still closed as they come past the entry this time. Just looking down to see where the battles are. Well, the PC first, second and third are pretty much together in the line. There they are.
Saw something flapping around there on the left rear of the Dyson car, car number 16 as it came by. I think perhaps that's what we saw during that pit stop earlier.
That was right from the beginning, and I still think that there's been side-to-side contact there. First three in PC have got one of the GTC Porsches between them. Now here is the pass around starting. The safety car pulls to the left, and those who are entitled to pass around, that is any car between the leader and their class leader, is allowed to go around at reduced speed and go past.
There's that bodywork flapping.
Yeah, that's. I definitely think that was from a bit of contact earlier on. They've changed the tyres now that were the that was the clue early, but it doesn't seem to be bothering them too much. It looks worse than it is. There's the GT battle going through.
Certainly create a bit more drag here, and you don't want drag on the long straightaways at Road America, but you know, as long as it's not affecting the car too badly, not causing too much of a vibration, then I'm sure he'll stay out.
Smashing day to be sitting trackside and watching motor racing, and one of the great things about Road America is the access and indeed the facilities here. Lines of sight for amateur photographers are absolutely wonderful, and it's a little known fact that all of the concession stands around here are run by local charity. So if you come here anytime in the future, or you're here now listening to us, then every time you go and buy some food or drink, you are helping the local charity that is running that stand. It's a great idea, and proof, if proof were needed, just how much Road America is integrated into the local community. They love their road racing here at Elkhart Lake.
Fabulous place to go motor racing. And there again is that Dyson car. We had a glimpse of the Dempsey Racing car number 27 a few seconds ago. Still running third place overall, second in P2 right now. It's getting ready for some action down on the pit lane, and the SRT Viper car, hopefully we can get Tommy Kendall back to the pit lane and get that car back out again, but I think there's going to be quite a bit of damage on that car.
The American Le Mans Series, just part of the racing weekend here. It is the main series, but we do have some support series as well. One of those being the Porsche IMSA GT3 Cup Challenge by Yokohama. They always have fantastic racing here. It's the world's fastest and most prestigious single-make championship, and we've had great action this weekend. Great start at a mass field going across the line here at Road America. Problems early on for the 27 of Manfredi getting turned around into the gravel trap. Then it was David Ducote in the 6. He's going to be fine. They're all going to miss him. Oh, not quite at the back of the field. Gets caught up in a really big accident. And for his part in that, the number 20, that's Yuri, gets pulled into the pit lane for a stop-go. Sean Johnson takes the platinum. And Angel Benitez, once again, the winner in the gold categories. The two winners congratulate themselves. And here are the rest of the results from the weekend in the IMSA GT3 Cup. Just a fabulous breeding ground for sports and GT drivers, and it seems like we get more cars every week, Jeremy. And remember, that is the same type of car that is running in the GTC category, so guys can step up fairly easy. Now, here's something we haven't seen very often, Jeremy. Pits are not open, but the Muscle Milk car's coming in for emergency service.
That's right. You're allowed to, if you're about to run out of fuel, you're allowed to come in, but all you're allowed to do is just put in a minimum amount of fuel.
For emergency service. Make sure he knows we're doing emergency service, fuel only.
Yeah, fuel only. Just enough fuel to get him around one more lap here so when the pits are open, he will then have to come in again. So, as I was saying just before, this caution not working in favour of the number 6 car.
And doubly bad now because that car will have to come back in again at the end of the pit stop cycle. Clearly, it doesn't do what we mean by emergency service here. It doesn't do anybody any good to have this car run out of fuel on the track. If it had a puncture, if it had some dangerous bodywork, it would be the same. They would be allowed to come in and address that problem. 5 seconds of fuel only, and you saw the IMSA official there counting down on his hands.
Like that.
And they are so unlucky because
when the pits are open for all cars, so they're going to open it for prototypes, and they're going to open for GTs in all cars. We will pit in, and we will do full service with the driver change, okay?
So there you heard it being explained to the driver of the 6 car, exactly what I was going to tell you. Klaus Graf got that from the pit wall. He can't now pit when the pits open next time around for prototypes because he's taking that emergency service. He'll have to wait till after the GT cars have been in and it's open for all. That's the payoff, but at least he's not stranded out on the track on a 4-mile lap and out of the race.
Correct. But what it will do, of course, it means he will take the restart at the back of the pack. So again, he's got a bit more of a fight back to do. Just back to that GT3 graphic, you saw the winner of the gold class in the GT3 Cup in this morning's race, Scott Tucker. Yes, that is the same Scott Tucker that's driving just about anything that moves here this weekend.
And it was the same Angel Benitez?
Yes, indeed, that was Junior. Yeah, Junior who won the class in gold yesterday.
I said it was a breeding ground. Yeah. I said it was a breeding ground, and because you can use the same cars, it means it's relatively easy to step up into the big show.
That's right, and the winner of the platinum class, the newer class of cars in the GT3 Cup, Sean Johnson, won both races this weekend, already the championship leader. And I tell you what, mark down that name, Sean Johnson. You're going to be hearing a lot of him in the future.
Well, there is the pit lane, and that is Ollie Gavin getting ready to get back into his Corvette. No, it's not there yet, Ollie. It's way back round the circuit. There is his car.
Where is it?
He'd have to lead out a very, very long way to see that, because that's about 1.5 miles away back down at the kink. Just shows how keen he is to get back into the fight in this GT category. Once again, absolutely nothing between them. It's Dirk Muller in the 56 BMW from Anthony Garcia in the 3 Corvette, from Pat Long in the 45 Flying Lizard Porsche, from Guy Cosmo in the 02 ESM Ferrari, from the 5th place 55 of Jörg Muller. That's the BMW, the second of those. The second of the ESM Ferraris is in 6th place. And then it's Tommy Milner in the 4. That's the second of the Corvettes. Then it's Marco Holzer in the second of the Lizards in 8th position. Brian Sellers in 9th position is just a little bit off. But the top 8 cars are pretty much line astern in the safety car queue. And I think, Jeremy, they might all come in at the same time.
I'm sure they will. I think they're probably right.
If you've got 2 cars, you could possibly split them, but it'd be dangerous. They won't come in this time around. The pits are only open for prototypes, so expect only to see the prototype cars in this time around.
Indeed, and Patrick Dempsey racing car there, number 27. Joe Foster bringing that car into pit lane, and Luis Diaz, the overall race leader, here he is on pit lane as well. The overall race leader is Luis Diaz in car number 5. Routine service here for Level 5 Motorsports.
That shiny black Alpina Spalted car into the pit lane. You saw the headlights flashing. That's to let everyone know that he's on the pit lane speed limit, and for the crew to be able to identify the car. This looks like full service, sticker tyres, brand spanking new Dunlops coming out, and full service on the fuel. And Kelly Stavist is down watching the well-rehearsed operation.
It's the 3rd time we've seen the 95 car in the pits. They did a quick fuel-only top-off in between a couple of caution periods. So we see Luis Diaz will remain behind the 95 as Scott Tucker, his co-driver, gets some rest. He started his stint in the 055, which is now driven by Christoph Buschu, and has pulled into pit lane for a fuel-only stop behind the 95. So the 055 is out of pit lane as the 95 waits to complete its tire change. Luis Diaz, who sat out the last couple of races, was sure happy to get behind the wheel of this Level 5 Motorsports car. Seemed to be be a clean stop, and Luis Diaz is on his way.
Yeah, and they've swapped the positions of those cars. Remember, Scott Tucker can only score points in one of those two, and it's the 55 that he has nominated. Now look, there's a change. There's a change in the PC category, because into the pits, Bruno Junqueira in the bright red number 9 was leading the category. Coming out, he is coming out behind certainly Alex Popper and Duncan Endy. So who didn't come in then? Who stayed out? No, Duncan Endy's in there as well. There he is in the background. So that's been a massive shuffling around. So it looks as though the 06 and the 05 have gone through. Papa and Colin Brown have jumped the leader in category. Great work by the core team, and that, Jeremy, is why they're leading the championship.
Indeed so, and that Colin Brown car, the 05, that had been a lap down earlier on, so they got their lead, got back onto the lead lap, and now they're back on strategy as well. So that was great news for that team, for the 05, to get back out in very, very good track position.
Now that's a shake up there then. And again, perfect illustration, Jeremy. Team sport, everybody's got to do their bit. Coming into the pit lane, the driver can't do anything. He's on the pit lane speed limiter. From the moment that he hits that pit lane speed limiter and gets that car down to 60 clicks, everything else that goes on, as long as he positions the car in the right place, is down to the guys. And they have turned both of these cars around in super quick time. Still under our second full course caution with just under 2 hours still to run. At the head of the field, it will be Chris Dyson, I think, who cycled back through into the lead.
Yep, when they come through to complete lap 53, I think we'll find Chris Dyson in the lead. Martin Plowman should take over second place in that number 37 Morgan Essen for the Conquest Endurance team. And interesting it was to see the 055 of Christophe Bouchou taking on a splash of fuel there. So he's going to lose a bit of track position is the 055, but he's going to have more fuel aboard that car, so he's going to be able to go longer before he makes his next pit stop.
All of the GT cars are lined up behind the safety car. Now, who rolls the dice and stays out, or does everybody, including both cars of the two-car team, do they come in? There's your answer. They're all diving into the pit lane, and it's going to be like a traffic jam.
Yeah, and the first couple of cars, the 56 and the number 3, the BMW and number 3 Corvette, they're going to take a little bit more fuel than the other guys who pitted a little bit later.
Good point.
During that first caution period.
Busy time for our pit lane team. This is going to be very spectacular. Remember, places changed around. Last time these guys were in the pits, there's heart rates racing now. Strangely, not from the drivers, but from everybody on the pit wall, because all eyes are on the pit crews for the GT. The top 8 are all coming along pit road right now.
The 56 BMW, which was leading the GT class, comes in, and now it will be Jonathan Somerton, the young American, who's filling in for Joey Hand as he does his German touring car duties abroad. He's getting buckled in. He said there was definitely some pressure involved with taking over for this team as it seeks to defend its championship, Jamie.
Both the 3 and the 4 Corvettes are also on pit road. The 3 car made it first, which made it a little difficult for the 4 car to hit his pit stop, and they just had an issue at the 4 car. The air jack fell out. The car slammed to the ground without the tires on it. The 3 cars still sitting on pit road as the 45 goes by, Kelly.
45, 44, and now the 56 will cycle in next to the 17. They're going to have to look behind that 17 car. And it looks like the 55 BMW getting out at the back of that group of GT cars. The 55 having some issues with their Dunlop tires. They were thinking about making a compound tire change. They decided against it. Bill Oberlin is back behind that 55 and is scheduled to close this race out.
Absolutely magnificent stuff. The top 11 GT cars came in one long line. As I was saying it, the next 3 dropped in. Great work, ladies, down there in the pit lane. Who are the winners and losers? Well, it looks like Porsche have done another great stop and that the Lizards got turned around, but also another Porsche team, the Falcon Tyres team, have made up positions there. The number 17 car, with Brian Sellers at the wheel, has jumped, I think, from 10th.
9th to 4th, I reckon.
9th to 4th, yeah. Okay, I'll give you that.
Once again, that Derek Walker-led crew, they have fantastic pit stops. They have done all season long, those Falcon guys. They've really worked so hard on their pit stops. John Ward is the engineer there, and he knew right away as soon as he joined that team a couple of years ago that they needed to improve their pit work, and they've just done it to the nth degree there. Great stop by that number 17 crew.
So we can just take a little bit of a breath after that excitement. Not all of the excitement happens at 180 miles an hour. That was all going on at 60 kilometers an hour. And in fact, when the cars were stationary, the 6 car, don't forget, the Muscle Milk car still needs to come in to complete its full service, and it'll do that next time around, Jeremy.
So it'll remain 2 laps down to the race leader, Chris Dyson. And we've still got 12 cars on the lead lap in GT, including then that number 91 Viper with Kuno Whitmer now at the wheel of that, having taken over from Dominic Farnbacher.
48 wheels of excitement, line astern.
Brilliant.
Oh, just great stuff. I know that 1 or 2 people have taken issue with me waxing lyrical about the GTs. It's in a great place over here, and not perhaps quite so healthy in Europe. It seems that there is a bit of a watershed coming in GT regulations, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Make it all a bit more transparent, get rid of some of the waivers would be good from our point of view, but you can't argue with the racing, and ultimately that's what it's all about. It has, once again, IMSA, the American Le Mans Series, and the ACO, who run the Le Mans 24 Hours technical regs, have come up with a set of regulations that have allowed people to compete, and for us to get just great entertainment out of this. And ultimately, I suppose that is what matters. On pit roads, the leader of the championship, being the 6 Muscle Milk car, is also, there he is, as also comes in the 20. We're expecting a full service here as Klaus Graf finally plies himself out of the driver's seat and helps bolt in his teammate Lucas Luhr. Fuel going in.
And Klaus will help Lucas get in the car right now. He's the only one that can do anything else on the car while the fuel's going in. And this car needs a full tank. They had to do that emergency stop, so the car's completely empty right now. It's going to be a longer than normal fuel stop. They are going to take 4 new Michelin tires. This was another stop that they decided to change the tire compound at the last minute. They had another set of Michelin sitting up on the wall. Michelin engineer said, nope, not those, take these. They listened to him, so now 4 new Michelin tires going on. This team is trying to fight back. We've seen them come back from a 3-lap deficit before. They can do it. Luhr is out.
I love that camera shot. That is just brilliant. Now, the 55 BMW, which had already been in whilst the GT cars made its pit stop, remember, has come back in again. Kelly Stavros can tell us why.
They changed 1 tire. It was the left rear at the 55 BMW. Now, I was trying to explain earlier that they were having somewhat of a debate on which compound tire to use. We've mentioned that there are multiple compounds being used in 1 set of tires here at Road America. Well, there was some discussion for 1 tire. They initially looked like they were going to change it on that full service stop. The engineers decided against it. It looked like, much to Bill Auberlin's chagrin, who wanted a harder compound put on that left rear. When they brought it in, there was that 1 tire changed, and of course to top off of fuel while they were here. And there's been a lot of interest over these tires, the Dunlop engineers and even Jörg Müller checking it out to see the condition as they come off the 55 BMW.
It's a good time to do it if you're not sure about that. Thanks, Kelly. Great information from the pit lane from our team down there. It's a good time to do it, Jeremy, because, okay, they've lost a bit of real estate on the track, but they're still on the lead lap in GT, and that means that, in fact, we've got 12 cars on the lead lap of GT, which is almost what we started. It was only Tommy Kendall, I think, who's in the wall from what started, 2 hours and 12 minutes ago. He's the only one who's not on the lead lap, and that's because of the accident.
Yeah, absolutely remarkable. Yeah, you're the second of the Vipers. Kuno Whitmer driving the car number 91. And, you know, it's running nicely.
Now, I would suggest that the safety car has pulled off, and there is visual confirmation. It's up the pit lane, and bang, foot down. Chris Dyson spins up the turbo on the 2-litre Mazda and streaks away. Martin Plowman goes through in second place on the road and indeed in the race. The P2 leader, Martin Plowman, heading down towards turn 1. Where is Christophe Bouchou? Answer there. The 055, the black car, coming through the traffic now. He's got Luis Diaz, his teammate for company. Patrick Dempsey now aboard the 27, the dark blue and checker, and he's right in there as well, as he's got to make his way through the traffic that was banged up in front of him. And we're hearing of some infractions on that pit lane, on their pit lane visits, Jeremy.
Yeah, car number 7, which is the merchant services car of, I think it's Lucas Downs at the wheel of that car right now.
Sorry to interrupt you, that was a change of position in PC there. The two core cars fighting for position and still fighting for position as the 05 car of Colin Brown goes past Tom Kimber-Smith, but Tom, the Englishman's not having that at all. Remember, these two cars and their respective drivers, at least 3 of the 4 drivers, battling for the championship here. Alex Popper with just an 8-point lead. Sorry, Jeremy, back to the penalties.
Yeah,
7.
Car number 7, which is Lucas Downs, having taken over from his brother Anthony. And the other car that got a pit lane speed violation, car number 32, René Villeneuve, that's the 4th place car in GTC, the GMG car number 32.
So the core guys fighting among themselves again as Tom Kimber-Smith is back ahead. Look at that, as Jeremy was talking. And it's 05 back from 06, is it? Have they swapped around again? They're very difficult to tell apart, those cars. Oh, hello. Uh-oh. The 31 NGT car had a lot of bodywork replaced earlier, and that's very expensive Porsche bodywork. They haven't got another grey front end. They've got put one of their fluorescent orange ones on, and he's going to lose a very expensive part. I would suggest that the fastenings for the rear valance, oh, that hurts me to look. That actually hurts me. I'm a Porsche owner, and I know exactly how much those parts cost. Let's get back to GT. Jonathan Summerton in the BMW, number 56. Right ahead of him is his target. Is he going to be able to go through into turn number 1? The Corvette goes a little bit defensive there. Ahead of them is Brian Sellers in the 17. That's all battle for positions there. We're looking all the way down as far as 5th position in GT. Ollie Gavin in 4th, Brian Sellers in 3rd, Jan Magnussen in 2nd, and Pat Long is leading the category.
That's an amazing effort by Brian Sellers there to get himself up into.
He's passed a
3rd
car.
place. Yeah, he has. He's got past the what is the it's number 44 car that slipped back. It's Seth Nyman who's taken over from Marco Holtz, car number 44. So that is the car that dropped back down the order. So Seth, once we went back to green, has slipped back down, already down to 10th place. And that has enabled Brian Sellers here to put that pressure on the Corvettes. He's sandwiched now between those 2 Corvettes. And again, early in the stint, those Falcon tires working fairly well. They have to dial in a fair bit of understeer in that car to try and protect the rear tires for later on in the stint.
Brian celebrating landmark birthday tomorrow, 21 again. That's another $50 he owes me. The 17 car is doing great. I mean, saw these guys win a couple of races last year, one in extremely wet conditions at Mid-Ohio, and then at our next venue, Baltimore, in very dry conditions. The Falcon team, run by Derek Walker, using the Porsche as a known quantity to develop these Falcon Racing tyres, and they've really come on in leaps and bounds over the last couple of seasons. It's a very brave thing to do, come out and do your development of a new product in the glare of publicity of race day.
And Falcon proving again this weekend how committed they are developing the tires. They now have 2 extra tire engineers here this weekend, as well as for the rest of the season. Since this program started, they've only had 1 tire engineer at each venue. Now adding 2 extras, that gives them a total of 3. That's a big step up in the commitment level, showing that they are going to develop these tires and make them competitive.
Loss of position for Brian Sellers for a moment. The Corvette of Ollie Gavin gets through in the final corner and then squeezed him a little bit up the hill. Looked like Sellers might get back alongside him going into turn 1.
Nice job.
But Ollie Gavin holds on to the position as he now goes up into 3rd. And his next target for Ollie Gavin is his teammate, Jan Magnussen.
Here's a couple of seconds behind Pat Long, who leads in the flying list, number 45. Look at this battle, though. Behind Ryan Sellers, Jonathan Summerton doing a great job for BMW in 5th position. Sasha Masson in the Chopard-sponsored 48 car is next up.
Yeah, just the second start in the ALMS for Jonathan Summerton, 24-year-old American from Florida. Made his career initially in open wheel racing. He made his debut, of course, with this team at Sebring and won the class there. So we've got 100. He's batting 1,000, I should say, at the moment in the ALMS. 1 race start and 1 win for Jonathan Summerton.
What can you say about Ollie Gavin, though? I mean, Ollie Gavin's been with the American Le Mans Series for so long. Currently 3rd position, multiple championships. Had such a great career. Family man, very, very good marathon runner. Tall bloke, well over 6 foot, keeps himself fit, running around the lanes of Northamptonshire in the centre of England. Down into Canada Corner. And he's won about everything that he had to do. Led a lot of Formula 1 races as well, actually. Not because he was competing in them, but because he used to drive the pace car. And some very good stories about that. Interviewed him for RadioLeMans.com a while ago, and had about an hour with him, and we didn't cut anything out. We just left the whole thing as it was. It's a very entertaining hour with a cup of coffee and a piece of cake with Ollie, and he's a real character, a smashing lad. And he's really, I mean, he's part of the GM family now. He's completely Corvetted, isn't he?
Very much so, and a former British Formula 3 champion as well. He's got 3 wins, of course, already this season. That's taken his win tally up to 37, so within 5 of Olivier Beretta for the overall winningest driver in the American Le Mans Series.
Most successful. Thank you.
Loved it.
Winningest, not a word.
Lucas Luhr, he's the other guy who's on a charge. They got 5 consecutive wins for Muscle Milk Racing, and Lucas Luhr has now got 40 wins to his credit as well, so within 2 of Christophe Bouchou's record.
Is Johnny O'Connell's got a few wins in the American Le Mans Series, and Ollie, I think, is now just 1 behind him, isn't he?
Johnny who?
Yeah, he used to race for
That's right. Yeah.
That's the guy.
Co-commentator on the ESPN2 coverage. Great guy, Johnny. I think bringing a lot to the broadcasts.
So this is the battle for 2nd and 3rd in GT. And Ollie Gavin goes down the outside. Oh, Jan Magnussen didn't look like he really tried to hold him off too much there, to be honest, as they went down the hill through into turn number 8. So that is a change of position. Ollie Gavin goes by Jan Magnussen. I wonder if Ollie is going to set about going after Pat Long.
Well, the last lap around, he set the fastest lap.
So just having a little bit of a look at some of the GT highlights. That is Tommy Kendall, who just caught the edge of the curb coming out and hit the wall. That was the cause of our 2nd full course caution. That is the only GT car that isn't on the lead lap at the moment. So back on board with Ollie Gavin. Look up the road. Can we see the Corvette? Can we see the Porsche? It's only 3 seconds. I fancy as he goes across the line, we might be able to see Pat heading down into turn 1. Not quite. Oh, there he is. Yeah, you can. It was the next car up the road. There is the leader in category, turning in through turn number 1 now. Clear road ahead of Pat Long as he turns into 3. And with about an hour and 40 to go, here's our Forza Motorsport 4 mid-race recap for the Road Race Showcase here at Elkhart Lake. Chris Dyson leads. We've had 2 full course cautions, just the 2 out, 52 and the 93, and the O2 moving up early, all the way from the back of the grid to 4th. And the 56 BMW actually got to the lead from 7th position. It's all changed around a little bit since then. That is your mid-race recap with Forza Motorsport 4, the official gaming partner of the American Le Mans Series. Beautiful picture postcard day to go motor racing here. Now let's just go back and take another look at that nasty moment for Tommy Kendall. Just rode over the end of the curb.
Yeah, he did, and the car got a bit sideways and kind of overcorrected a little bit there, did Tommy. Lost control of the car, and after that he was a passenger. It smote the wall pretty hard. You could see the damage to the right rear corner on that Viper.
Tommy was fine, by the way. That triggered the full course caution. Now look at the action in the pit. This is where races can be won and lost, and the 45 Lizards get out into the lead. Who comes out in second? Oh, it's their teammate. Seth Nyman are going to drop back, but look at the 4th place car from 9th to 4th for Derek Walker's Falcon Porsche team, and that set them up really well for the latter part of the race. Great battle with the Corvette of Ollie Gavin, who sneaks his way through, first of all, into 3rd place. Look a little bit up though. Ollie, that's a bit naughty, pulling back into the middle of the road there to squeeze Brian as the prototype was coming through. Looked like Brian might be able to get the position down to turn 1, but couldn't just do it. He's in position there, but last of the lane break as Ollie Gavin holds on to the position. Continuing with our look back, these are highlights, and this is back to life, Jeremy, and this is our race leader.
Indeed, Chris Dyson still at the wheel of that car. He's been at the wheel since the start of the race. As you can see, 1 hour and 35 minutes to go in this race, so we're just over 2 hours and 24 minutes down, and Chris has been at the wheel the whole time. So next time this car comes to pit lane, we will see the driver change, I am sure. We've still got a 2-lap margin over the number 6 car, but I think looming in his mirrors before too long might be that car number 6, who's trying to get 1 more lap back after the delay they had earlier on with those electric, with the water leak, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Let's head back to Prototype Challenge. There is Tom Kimber Smith back in the lead of the category. He's got about 2 seconds on the 2nd place car, which is his teammate Colin Brown, the 05. Up the hill to complete his lap number 60. There's his teammate right behind him with the red on the top of the roll hoops. And there's been a bit of swapping around there as well, Jeremy. They have been trading places, the internecine battle as well. And that was all came from the yellow flag pit stops. Look in the background.
2 Core Autosports coming out there, one just ahead of the other. That is the 06 just ahead of the 05. And they've been battling away, and the red car coming out right now, that was the erstwhile leader in PC for RSR Racing. Bruno Junqueira drove the opening stint, now just handed over to Roberto Gonzalez.
Yeah, Junqueira did a great job in that 9 car. But again, brings the car into the pits, and it's important that everything is picture perfect there as well. So just over 90 minutes to run, Jeremy.
Yeah, and the last 2 laps around Oliver Gavin has set the fastest lap in the GT class. And as they came across the lap that time as well, Jan Magnussen, having tucked in behind Oliver Gavin, also doing an almost identical lap time. The first 2 of the GT contenders down below 2 minutes 6 seconds.
Patrick Long still leads the GT category, but he's being closed in on by Ollie Gavin.
And the 45 team still staying very competitive, even though they are out of the championship. And driver Patrick Long, one of the most competitive guys in the business, he's on the radio with his team right now, not happy with the PC traffic. He's saying it's destroying the GT battle. These guys are all in a fight, but that's part of multi-class racing. They have to learn to work together, and they have to get around each other. Right now, though, Patrick Long is not happy.
Yeah, and Patrick Long's just been warned, or at least the team has just been warned for blocking. And when I heard that from our link to the organisers, I questioned that because he didn't have any class traffic with him. He wasn't warned for blocking Ollie Gavin because he's not close enough. He was warned for blocking a PC car because clearly he wanted to hold his position on the track and not get held up at a part of the circuit that was crucial for his lap time.
Wow.
So he is walking a tightrope just a little bit at the moment, particularly when he's got 2 Corvettes hoving down on him here, and we've seen what that Porsche can do when it's been hassled by the vets. Now, Patrick was very good there. He left the inside open for that PC car. The PC car didn't take the opportunity to go through a Canada corner.
We're already underneath the lap record for GTs this afternoon. Both of the Corvettes have set the fastest time so far. Patrick Long, though, he's responding. He's just set a faster lap than did Jörg Bergmeister in the opening stint. But as you can see on board here with Oliver Gavin, we're getting closer and closer to that Porsche car number 45 as the PC car goes to the inside as they head toward turn 1.
Back out on track again after being behind the wall at least once that we've seen, maybe a couple of times. There's a taped up headlight. Jeremy's waving two fingers at me, which I really hope means it was two behind the wall, otherwise there's going to be a falling out here.
Yeah, behind the wall a couple of times. Emilio De Guida has taken over from Spencer Pumpelly. It was he that looped it down there in Canada corner.
And here it is from out. Oh, he's catching up. You see, that's what I was talking about, Jeremy, and that is why Pat Long sometimes doesn't want to let the PC car through, because he's getting to the apex of the corner sometimes a wee bit quicker than some of the gentleman drivers. That's what it looked like from on board with Ollie Gavin as he's chasing Pat Long for the lead in GT. This is all a delicate balance out there. 5 classes having to coexist in a sort of weird sort of ecosystem of motor racing out there. And sometimes, you know, you'll reap what you sow.
2 class wins already this season for Emilio De Guida in this number 66 car. It's certainly not going to be a 3rd win this afternoon. They lost about 20 laps after that as a result of that incident, even before the green flag.
That is the 16, the race leader. And out has got Chris Dyson. He is the gentleman on the right with the white racing helmet. And Jamie Howe is watching Guy Smith being installed.
Yes, and this is a scheduled pit stop for the number 16 Dyson Lola Mazda. Chris Dyson now back over the wall. Car's already up. It's going to get 4 new sticker Dunlop tires. These are shiny, so they are going to take a couple of laps to come up to temperature. The team working to get him on. When Chris brought the car in, he was right on his mark. So this is a very clean pit stop so far for Dyson Racing, and that's exactly what they need. While they're in pit lane right now, they are going to get a new drink bottle for Guy, so they are losing some valuable seconds right now. In these races here at Road America, they tend to come down to just fractions of a second. Last year was only 10 100ths of a second, so that could be costly because Muscle Milk is now only 1 lap down.
Yeah, good spot, Jamie. The wheel of the Honda engine gone through and is now working on for them and for Lucas Luhr, lap number 64. And we're hearing that the warning flag for unsportsmanlike driving is going out, and it will go out to the 56 BMW. Now that means either he's going off the track or he's blocking a little bit too much. He moved one of the Ferraris over in turn number 5. That's Jonathan Somerton. Probably liking the fact he's got fenders around him to lean a little bit more than he used to when he was in single-seaters. So he's had his warning, Jeremy.
Yep, so any more transgressions there will be called in for a stop-and-go penalty at best, most likely. And looming large in these guys' mirrors, you'll see a flash of it in a minute, there it is, the orange and silver car flashing its lights there.
Yeah.
Car number 37, Martin Plowman, regains the overall race lead.
Leading P2 as well, of course, which is far more important to him. And he's got Christophe Bouchou in the 055. That's the Scott Tucker scoring car. Why is that important? Ooh. Because they're leading the championship at the moment. And Plowy nearly loops it in 5. Masterful piece of recovery as the guys backed up towards him very quickly. The speed differential in some of these cars, Jeremy, is really something to behold. And those guys were coming back at Plowy very quickly.
They were indeed. He got on the rumble strips on the outside on the turn into the corner, and at the back end came around. He did a good job there to hang on to that car. He's got to be careful now. He's got to make sure he doesn't get greedy. He's got one GT car and one PC car. He goes around the outside of the GT car, all around the outside of the carousel, and he makes it stick. That's a brave maneuver.
He's now weaving.
But yeah, he's weaving around as they're going down toward the kink, because he picked up some little bits of rubber marbles that you pick up when you go offline here. So before he goes into the kink, he weaves that car around a little bit just to try to throw off those rubber marbles.
Now there's Jonathan Summerton. That was a little earlier on. That's what he got his unsportsmanlike driving for.
Yeah, the prototype car going down the inside. Where was he supposed to go?
Well, yes. And that's no worse than what Ollie Gavin did to Brian Sellers a couple of laps ago. But
he kind of had to move because the prototype was diving down the inside. Didn't really have an awful lot of choice there, Jonathan Summerton.
I'm sure Bobby Rahal will be talking to him in quiet tones, telling him to just be gentle with what's going on. We have got an hour and 23 minutes still to run. Love these longer races. As the 95 car of Luis Diaz in third position picks his way through the traffic, trying to catch up with Bouchou and Plowman. Well, we've had some great racing already today, but already this weekend there's been action on the track for the IMSA Support Series. And something that looks like a lot of fun, and Jeremy and I would love to have a go at, is the little prototypes. The Akuba Tyres prototype lights, powered by Mazda, have already had a couple of races this weekend, and they've been fun. Round 9 of the Cooper Tyres Prototypes Light Championship, powered by Mazda, with Tristan Nunez in the blue and yellow 16 machine on pole position. The action behind him as Lamont Harris in the 65 spins. Darrell Schoff just about missing him. Slight misjudgment by the 88 of Dan Wayland, who gets in to the back of Dan Mancini. But at the front of the field, it was all plain sailing. 16 on the car, 16 in the car. Yep, 16 years old takes the victory. In L2, once again, Scott Tucker in the black number 5 dominated proceedings, but it was all about the youngster at the head of the field. Here's the results from all the races at the weekend, and we'll be back with more action from the American Le Mans Series here at Elkhart Lake next. Oh, this is the front of the field. We've had 2 hours and 41 minutes, and the 3 cars at the front of the field here at the Road Race Showcase at Road America at Elkhart Lake for the American Le Mans Series, presented by Tequila Patron, are separated by 3.2 seconds. It's a battle for the lead in the race. It's a battle for P2 and its championship implications as well, Jeremy Shaw.
Absolutely tremendous battling going on here. And Martin Plowman, he's just set his best lap. The overall race leader, car number 37, Martin Plowman, just set a 1 minute 56.202. That's the best lap that this car has done. Luis Diaz, though, in third place. He set a best in the class of a 156.1, so about a tenth of a second quicker. So what I'm trying to say is there's nothing to choose between these 3 cars.
Yep, you can cut the arithmetic any way you want it, but these 3 guys are battling as hard as if this was a 20-minute club sprint, and we've still got an hour and 18 to go around the awesome 4 miles plus of Road America. Martin Plowman flashing his lights there. He lost a couple of seconds a lap or 2 ago. Oh, look at the traffic ahead of him. First of all, the JDX Porsche. Now he's got another PC car. He's going to have to make a very decisive move round to the right-hand side. Driver's right here and try to get in the braking area for Canada Corner. Through comes Bouchou as well, and that car is massively squirreling around under the brakes.
Tremendous stuff. That's a great race here. This is a battle for the overall lead, because the P2 cars
he's got a massive... Oh!
To make a pit stop, these two, compared by comparison to the number 16 car of Guy Smith that was in a little while ago. But when these two make their next pit stops, I think we're going to see the 055 stay out a little bit longer, because Bouchou came in and took a splash of fuel before we went back to green last time around. So it's going to be the number 37 car, I believe, that is going to be on the pit lane first out of these 2 race leaders.
Anybody who was watching our studio commentator cam there, as we were on board with Bouchou, I actually winced because I thought that we were going to hit in real life the back of the Green Hornet Porsche there. Christophe Bouchou likes going to drivers right there on the exit of the penultimate corner and using all the runoff, and he's got to be careful with that because he could come across someone. A bit of damage on the left-hand side of the car. That happened much earlier on, and now look, he's in the GT battle here.
He is indeed, and just a note also, number 95 car, Luis Diaz, running in third place. As you saw, just 3 seconds behind, but he's dropped back. He's now in the pits, and there is car number 95. Luis Diaz out of the car, Scott Tucker getting in.
And it's Scott Tucker's 5th race this weekend as we see him compete in a couple of the support series as well. He's been getting a lot of attention for his improvement in driving. Marino Franchitti, who ran with his team at Petit Le Mans last year, said he really admires the hard work that Scott Tucker puts into his racing business. He said this is a guy who's a real student. He really wants to improve. His Scott's longtime coach, Ed Zabinski, also singing him praises. I asked Scott about it. He said he feels like he just broke through a new plateau, and he just continues to feel more comfortable in these cars as we see the 95 pull out of pit lane.
It's been written about in the past that if you do somewhere in the region of 11,000 hours of anything, you'll be pretty good at it. That's normally what it takes to you know, any sport or you know, recreational sort of thing. He does that every race weekend, doesn't he? Let's have a look at the front of the GT field. That is Pat Long in the 45 flying. This is 13th overall, but remember, with 5 categories of cars racing on the circuit at the same time. Now, just a few moments ago, they were all together going into the carousel, but Pat Long seems to have dealt with the traffic, and that traffic being the 33 of Brian Wong in the he's coming to pit lane, I think, Brian, is he? Yes, he is, in the Green Hornet, just diving off to the right of our picture there. As ahead now of the 2 Corvettes is the 22. That's the Bleckermolen car leading that category now. So that is the WeatherTech car. As who's that in the pit lane in the background?
37.
Oh, that's the leader there.
The race leader is onto pit lane.
Well, they were due. They were certainly due, and the Nissan-powered Morgan is taking fuel.
And it's a fuel-only pit stop for the number 37. I was talking to the team, and they said the car was working well right now. There are no issues for Martin Plotman. Even though he is battling that stomach flu, he's going to stay in. He's going to do a double stint. He said at the beginning of the race, once he got in the car, the adrenaline was going to take over. This is the team's first year in endurance racing. It take a few races to get up to speed, but now when we come into a race weekend, it is anybody's guess which team is going to stand on top of the podium. That was a very clean stop for Conquest.
I think that's quite important, Jeremy, because that, to me, with an hour and 14 to go, that means one more stop only for that car. He's the first of the guys to come in who can now do the rest of the race on just one more stop. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't sound like that would be much of an advantage. But if he can get to his last stop first, that is a big advantage.
Yes, potentially so. And Christophe Bouchou in that 055 car, he stays out, inherits the lead of the race. That's the first time, I think, that the 05 car, 55 cars led overall in this race this afternoon. That, as we said before, made a pit stop during that previous caution period, so he'll be able to stay out a little bit longer. And if then there's another caution period, it isn't inconceivable that the 055 car might be able to get to the end of the race with one fewer stop. So a lot of strategy still to be played out in this race with an hour and 13 minutes to go.
So through he goes towards the carousel, and the car looks pretty well balanced. So Bouchou we'd expect to see in shortly.
And that is Lucas Luhr, and I think he's just got past. Is that the Dyson car behind him?
Good spot.
Yeah.
So does that mean he's on the back of the lead lap in P1 now?
In P1, yeah, and back up into 9th place overall.
And Guy Smith has not really, well, he has closed in. He's down to 10 seconds on the leader in the class. It is his teammate. It's Marcel at the wheel of the number 20 at the moment.
The guy's just turned his best lap there, 1 minute 53.6 last time around. But that Muscle Milk car, it turned a 151.248, the fastest lap of the race. So more than 2 seconds faster per lap. Car number 6, and moving steadily but most assuredly up the order.
Yeah, and there is Christophe Bouchou, the Frenchman, leading the race. And he's got a very, very aggressive style behind the wheel. He's not your Sterling Moss, is he? Sitting there nice and comfortably, and whatever else is going on beneath the surface, Sterling Moss always used to try and look as smooth and as relaxed as possible to try and psych out his competition. Whereas Christophe Bouchou, if you see the in-car of that, he looks like he's having an accident every corner, doesn't he?
The word animal comes to mind.
Oh, he's monstering that car.
There's the number 55 car, Bill Auberlin, and I think has just got past Brian Sellers in the number 17 Falcon Tires Porsche. That would be for 4th place in GT. There's the Falcon car coming out of turn 14, and the BMW just going up the hill underneath the bridge. So in GT, it's still Patrick Long that leads by just over a second from Ollie Gavin. And then Jan Magnussen's fallen back a little bit. He's about 3.5 seconds behind Oliver Gavin. And then about 20 seconds back to Bill Auberlin. Then Scott Sharp also, he's moved up in the 01 car ahead of Brian Sellers on that lap. There is Scott Sharp coming down the hill, and he just tweeted, or somebody, he didn't tweet because he's driving the racing car, but somebody from the ESM, Extreme Speed Motorsports team, tweeted a few moments ago that Johannes van Overbeek is on the pit wall getting ready to take over once again from Scott Sharp to finish the race in that 0-1 car. So that car could be a factor by the end of this race, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and you know, we've seen this before from these guys. They just don't know when to say stop. I mean, you would say that they had their problem early enough on, Jeremy, that they could react to it. Oh, it threads the eye of the needle right through the middle, and someone's gone off on the right-hand side. It's one of the PC cars. Now, behind the wheel of the 7 car at the moment is one of the Downs boys. It's the L of the ALMS.
Yeah, Lucas, yeah.
Lucas, yeah. So Lucas Luhr and Lucas Downs there, coming in very, very close proximity. Lucas decided to go down the middle of a prototype challenge and a GT challenge.
So he got out on the marbles there,
Lucas
out
is
on
already
that
out
loose
there.
stuff. Yeah, Lucas Downs. He got on the loose stuff, and there he's just trying to keep the car under control. Sort of does it.
Meantime, the 55, the 055 of Christophe Bouchou's in the pitch.
We see Christophe Bouchou in the 055 taking his full service stop. They've got the Dunlop tires ready to go once they're done fueling, as we see now. This is the Frenchman that's been with Scott Tucker for several years now, raced with him across a bunch of different series. And he is a competitor. He is an attack man. He likes to get out there and go after his competitors. He gets it fired up. Looked like a smooth stop here at level 5.
And let's see where he rejoins in relation to Martin Plowman that made his pit stop, 4 laps ago. So
he's gone through. He's well through, Jeremy.
Well, there you go. And
there he is.
And yes, well through. You're absolutely right. So great stint. This is a great job here by Martin Plowman, and certainly now that both of these cars, as it stands right now, will definitely need to make one more pit stop before the end of the race. This car, the 37, will need a little bit more fuel, but not enough, I think, to make the difference and bring the 055 close enough.
And this now, 2 different classes, but is the battle for the lead of this round of the American Le Mans Series. 2 Englishmen at the head of their respective classes. The P2 ahead of the P1 car at the moment. Martin Plowman in the 37 and Guy Smith in the 16 battling it out, and neither of them can afford to hold up.
We talked about those lap times for Guy Smith. He certainly does have his hands full. He's been telling the team he's experiencing a vibration in the car. However, the telemetry shows there's nothing wrong. They think it's just pickup, so they've told him to stay out there and sort of deal with it. They certainly can't afford to have an unscheduled stop at this point.
No, that would be disastrous. Spot on, Kelly.
And last lap around was a 2 minutes point 1 for Guy Smith. So a lot slower than that car had been going earlier on. The best lap that car has turned, a 1 minute 53. So 8 seconds slower than that car has been earlier in the proceedings. Lucas Luhr, car number 6, also making a scheduled pit stop, we believe.
Yeah, in the pit lane, and his last lap though, just for comparison, was a 156. Eric Lux has done a 157. Guy Smith a 2:01.9 last time around, will now drag through.
And that is the lead. So he did lead, just about took the lead there ahead of Martin Plowman as they came across start-finish line. The 2 Englishmen then pretty much side by side. But Guy Smith in car number 16 for Dyson Racing, the Lola Mazda, the Mod Spates car, back in the lead of the race.
Now Guy is normally a very, very smooth driver. There is the 6 that we told you about. This looks fairly routine. Jamie Howe has made her way down to Muscle Milk.
Lucas Luhr is going to stay in the car. He's going to take it all the way to the checkered flag. Fuel going in right now. This is a scheduled pit stop. Looks like he is going to also take 4 Michelin Tires cars up on the jacks. This team is fighting back from a deficit. It's not what they wanted to do. They wanted a clean race. They wanted to win it outright. Right now, they're still battling just to even get back into second place. And that's in the championship. It was a very quick pit stop for Muscle Milk, and the car is still performing flawlessly.
Oh, don't say things like that.
It's Eric Lux who is now driving car number 20 for Dyson Racing. and he's turning some pretty respectable laps. Last time around was a 57, but that was as quick as anybody else. I think there must be a lot of pickup or even debris down on the racetrack, because no one is going particularly quickly at the moment. And I think the number 6 car is still going to need a little bit of help from some way, shape or form to get past either of the 2 Dyson Racing cars.
Smart bit of footwork by the Muscle Milk guy there. He managed to pull the airline out of the way of the right rear wheel. Had they run over it, it would have been a stop-go penalty. With the first day of the English Premiership underway, I think that guy might get a contract. Nice bit of footwork there, with 1 hour and 2 minutes still to run here at the American Le Mans Series Road Race Showcase at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. It is Guy Smith leading his English countryman by just on 2 seconds at the moment. Christophe Bouchou chasing them down, and we'll be back with more after this. Just inside the last 60 minutes of racing, Guy Smith is back at the head of the field at the Road Race Showcase, Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, for the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron. And some interesting tactics being thrown down for the P2 lead, which is now behind Guy leading this race. Martin Plowman has just been in for a pit stop, did not take tyres. We'll have one more pit stop for the 37 car in second place, which is leading the P2. Christophe Bouchou came in, did take tyres. Those 2 guys pretty close on the track before the pit stop. What has that meant? 25 seconds difference between Plowman and Bouchou, but Bouchou's got newer boots on the car.
Exactly right, and this car, the 37 car, if that's going to have to change tyres on its next pit stop, which is quite likely, then that could be the difference between these two. We're on board here with Christophe Bouchou, shown as about 25 seconds behind Martin Plowman. That's the battle between second and third overall, but first and second in P2. Just a quick note about the GT cars. The 01 car of Scott Sharp was running 4th or 5th in GT. That has just made a pit stop with almost exactly 1 hour to go. Scott Sharp has handed that ESM Ferrari back to Johannes van Overbeek, who was very fast at the beginning of the race. And maybe now they can get to the finish of the race. It's going to be close.
Disaster for the 17 of Brian Sellers. 5th position in GT, and he has gone off on the far side of the circuit at the exit of the King, and he's been on both sides of the road there, Jeremy.
And this could be critical for that GT battle, because the 01 car has already made what will now be its final pit stop. We're going to go full course caution here almost certainly, and therefore the 01 car will be able to get to the end. And when everybody else comes into the pits during this full course caution in GT, guess which car will cycle to the front of the pack? Yes, the 01. Wow, that was a heavy impact. Looks like something let go on that car.
Yeah, he came out through the King. I'm wrong, he didn't hit both sides of the road. He's just spread the dirt out over both sides of the road. And there is the full course caution that we were expecting. It has arrived with 57 minutes still to run, and all of a sudden Johannes van Overbeek down in 9th position in the GT category in the 01 ESM Ferrari looks really, really good. There are cars coming past the scene of that incident with yellow flags being waved frantically by the corner workers that are coming through way too quick on that side of the circuit, with the car stranded on driver's right. The debris flag is out as well, and the SCCA corner workers are doing very, very well to slow down, and the IMSA safety team have done exactly the right thing in parking their truck in between the traffic. Now the cars are slowing down. Look at the lines on the road. That's faulted tyre rubber where Brian... And you know what's happened there, Jeremy? He's just drifted maybe 4 or 5 inches offline onto that rubbish that you can see. That's all tyre rubber there, and I think the back end of the car has just started to slide, and there's so little room for manoeuvre there. Brian hasn't been able to get it back.
Yeah, could be that. He could have been forced offline by somebody, or even something could have broken on the car. So tough to say. From that replay, I couldn't see. Was there another car that came through?
Didn't see anything.
No, so unlikely to have gotten wide on that corner, I think, on his own.
He's out of the car. He's taking his helmet and his balaclava off. He's talking to the IMSA safety crew, and we're hearing from our camera operators down there, who are all big race fans. And by the way, doesn't that show when you watch the coverage that we have here from Road America? We're very well acquainted with our camera operators, have most of the same crew for all of the ALMS races, and they're saying he was on his own in that, so something either let go or it was a tiny, what were we talking about? Inches.
Yeah.
Inches. And when you saw all of that pickup, all of those marbles, it is just like putting a wheel onto ice.
Absolutely right. And Brian has got onto the radio to the Falcon guys in the pit lane and said, I'm fine, don't worry about that. So we're good to see that Brian Sellers is okay. 30th birthday tomorrow. Not the birthday present he wanted, but it had been another strong run for those guys. They had a great run a couple of weeks ago at Mid-Ohio. They struggled with the balance of the car, but came away with an excellent fourth-place finish. They probably weren't going to get fourth perhaps here, but certainly considering the problems they've had this weekend, it'd have been another strong run for Brian Sellers and Wolf Hensler.
Yeah. I think they'll take a lot of positives away from that, Jeremy. Okay, you're right. It's not the way they want to finish their race, but that was a strong run, and we heard from Jamie early on about the development tyres coming from Falcon. They're putting a lot of work into this. This is a long-term plan for this tyre and for these guys to provide tyres. Now, who's the winners and losers, and what do you do tactically? Jeremy Shaw.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting now because we've got, what, 53 minutes to go, so I think we will see the number 16 car into the pits during this caution period for sure, and it should then be able to go to the end of the race.
Ollie Gavin on board the latest iteration of the Corvette, celebrating its 60th anniversary this year. Johnny O'Connor with Harlan Charles there, talking you through the history and how Corvette has remained a leader through their continual innovations, generation after generation. And the new C7 to come, not so far away. Lots of excitement in the Corvette corral this weekend, and lots of people asking questions of the GM executives and the Corvette racing team here about what we might expect. Everyone is tight-lipped. New Corvettes don't come along that often, and when they do, it does certainly cause a bit of a stir. And one thing I can say is it will race, because that's what Corvettes do. Guy Smith is leading the race. Happy anniversary, it says on there. But he hasn't written, does it say candy? Happy anniversary candy with kisses, I think. That means something to somebody. Guy Smith right in behind the safety car.
So it looks like then that the 01 Ferrari did actually lose a lap during that pit stop.
I think he might have just.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be a wave around. I thought he would have remained on the lead lap and then would get the pass around before the pits are open. But no, I don't think that's going to be the case, because there is the Flying Lizard Porsche there going through the screen right now, and there's no ESM car between himself and the pace car, so no more pass arounds, I think. So my mistake. But Townsend Bell for the Alex Job Racing in that Lotus Evora is 4th place in GT.
Take a picture of the screen, Alex. Do it now. Fantastic
no, wait a minute.
job.
No, I was right. The pass around has happened.
Yeah.
And Van Overbeek is back at the tail end of the lead lap. Okay,
that makes
good.
perfect sense to
great.
me. I would have been surprised had you been wrong, Jeremy. Pits are open for prototype cars only in our third full course caution, just under 48 minutes to go.
Yeah, and the number 6 car, I think, is coming
Corner
into
workers
pits.
are like a family, an important aspect at every racetrack. Can you please tell us exactly what a corner worker does?
The corner workers called flag and communication, and their job is to communicate both with the drivers and with control to let them know what's going on the track. So their job is to communicate with each other and to communicate back to the tower, and through the flags to communicate to the drivers.
What do you love about being a corner worker?
The greatest thing about being a corner worker is being close to the race cars that you watch on TV. You watch these cars on TV, you become a fan, and when you're out here on the corner, you get to be mere feet away from them as they're driving past. You get a much closer connection to the drivers and the cars and the action and the race series.
The best seats in the track reserved for SCCE workers there in the corners, thanks to all of them. 6 and 16.
Yes.
This is important. Oh, now I didn't expect to see the 6 car taking tyres. Kelly.
As they just finished topping off that 16 Dyson Mazda with the isobutanol, Guy Smith got it fired up. There was a quick stall.
Russell Milk Pickett Racing was also on pit road, and it is big high fives and celebration here down on pit lane. Why? Because they got a lap back. They beat the 16 out of pit lane. This will put them back on the lead lap of the race. All they have to do now is fight to catch up.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, you could see the problems that Guy Smith was having getting out of the pit stall. The 16 car should have beaten the number 6 car off the pit lane. I was surprised too to see the number 6 guys changing tyres, but it's worked out perfectly because they did beat the Dyson car out of the pits. And you know, that little hiccup that Guy Smith had there trying to get that car back underway could be absolutely crucial.
Yeah, well, don't forget they had got themselves back onto the lead lap before those stopped. The crucial thing is there, they've stayed on it and they are ahead of the leader now as we'll go back to green. And that, I think that means they'll get the wave by, won't they? Before we go back to green. It depends what's in front of them in the line. We need to find out if there's a class leader. 45 minutes of racing still to go as the field goes through. And what we need to see there, Jeremy, is what is ahead of the 6 car. Because if there's not another class leader in front of him...
Yeah, we're going to see all the GT leaders into the pits now, but I think the 01 car probably should still be ahead of the prototype cars.
It's fascinating, isn't it? I love these longer races. 45 minutes still to go. Guy Smith leads the motor race. He's embroiled at the moment in traffic, but of course some of that will move. Right, there's the 6. What's in front of them?
The ESM, one of the ESM. Yeah, so both the ESM cars are ahead, and if, as I believe it is going to be the case, that the 01 car stays out, should move to the head of the GT pack. So whatever else happens, even if that isn't the first class leader in pack, it is a class leader that is ahead of the number 6 car. So when we go back to green, the number 6 car will be on the same lap as the 16, but only it'll be just a few cars ahead of the car number 16. So
he's going to be about
would have to make
4 miles behind.
Exactly, 4.047 miles on a 4.048 mile lap.
So it should be the GT cars that come in this time around and stand by for action on the pit lane.
Oh yes, this is going to be fun.
And again, we've seen big moves, haven't we? So as they stand, now write this down, dear viewer and listener. Pat Long in the 45 Lizard is leading right now in GT. Ollie Gavin in the 4 Corvette is second. Jan Magnussen in the 3 Corvette is third. Townsend Bell in the 23 Lotus, the Alex Job Racing battery tender car, is in 4th. In 5th, the 55 BMW, Bill Oberlin. In 6th, Dirk Muller in the 56. In 7th, Bryce Miller in the Chopard Miller Racing Porsche, the 48 car. The 01 Van Overbeek in 8th position before this set of pit stops. That's the other ESM Ferrari. And then it's the 91, that's the remaining Viper, in 9th position. But he is, I believe, the first GT car now off the lead lap, which also includes the 44, the 02, and obviously Brian Sellers' car. Right, here we go. Start rolling the dice again, spin the wheel, call it whatever you want, because it's lottery time. As we come into the pit lane, the 34 of Damien Faulkner is coming in as well. Out of the lead of GTC, they've cycled through back into the lead, overtaking there on the pit lane by the Corvette. Went by Damien Faulkner. He must be very, very sure that his pit lane speed limiter is right, and he's definitely gaining on the 2 cars ahead of him. It's 60 kilometres and there's nowhere to go in terms of leeway. The Lizards stop first. 2 Corvettes at the further end of the pit lane.
This will be a driver change at the 45 and the 44. Both of the Flying Lizard cars are on pit road. Patrick Long getting out of the 45. Jörg Bergmeister getting in. Pat had a terrific stint right in the middle. Jörg Bergmeister, he started, he's going to finish. It was the same in the 44 camp. Marco Holzer, he started, he's also going to finish. Both cars taking fuel and 4 new Michelin tires. They're ready to get to the end of the race.
And it looks like there could be potential problems down here at the number 4 Corvette as they're having issues getting that passenger side door to latch. They've tried closing it a couple times and it wasn't sticking. The 3 car, which had a full service stop, is already out of pit lane. Now they've got that number 4 door closed, and Ollie Gavin will go back out, but he the makeup.
Yes, he does.
Oh, that is a very, very unhappy tall Englishman. And look at the body language of that crew. If you hadn't seen what had happened there, you would know that they have not had a good pit stop.
Yeah, and again, great service once again from that Flying Lizard Porsche team. A great stop there. Number 45 car, also a good stop, but that car is a lap down to the GT leaders.
Now, so who stopped
45
there?
and 44 as well.
Yes, 44. Yeah, they were a lap back. You're quite correct. So, the 91 Viper came into the pits as well. Perfect timing from Marco as we go back to green flag racing with 38 minutes and 16 seconds to go. That is the battle for the lead in Prototype Challenge. Tom Kimber-Smith and Colin Brown picked the bones out of that one, Jeremy Shaw.
Yeah, this is a great battle there, and a slight defensive line through turn 1 there by Tom Kimber-Smith. He defends the line also down to turn 2, so it's a 0.6 ahead of the 0.5. Tom Kimber-Smith, the twice a winner of Le Mans the last 2 years, and Colin Brown, who has been charging in recent races.
And it's the battle for the championship lead as well, don't forget.
And Morgan Brady, the team manager for Core Autosport, I was speaking with him earlier today, and he said, please do not ask my drivers which is more important, the team or the drivers' championship. He said, we are going after the team championship. We will let the drivers' championship take care of itself. Right now, those 1 and 2 going to the checkered. It's a good day for Core.
Yeah, and the first instruction will be don't run into each other, of course. So the Englishman, Tom Kimber-Smith, then leading his teammate Colin Brown. They are in 8th and 9th position overall. Christophe Bouchou leads the motor race by about a second and a half as they went across the line from Guy Smith. So 0.55, 16 and 20 are your lead cars. They're working their way through traffic. And in GT, remember what we said, it is 55 from 56 from 48. The Chopard Porsche in 3rd place. But Johannes van Overbeek is right there. The top 4 cars in what? 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, and the reason for that is unbeknownst to us, we couldn't see it, but both of the BMWs and the Chopard Watches Porsche, they came in and made a pit stop just before that caution period. We saw the 0-1 car come in, we didn't see those other 3. So all of those 4 cars did not need to make a pit stop on this round of pit stops. That's the disadvantage of not having a view of the racetrack, unfortunately, from our perspective here. But this is going to be a great race in the closing stages. Johannes van Overbeek then in the 0-1 Ferrari is in 4th place, and you can just throw a blanket over those 4 cars.
Now here comes the number 6 car, Lucas Luhr. He is pushing very, very hard indeed. Remember, he got his lap back just before the caution. He held on to it in the pits, even though he took new tyres. And now he's got to get his head down and make up 4 miles on Guy Smith. At the moment, he is still sitting. He is still sitting in 3rd position in P1. To reduce the deficit in points for the championship, he needs to get up to Eric Lux in 2nd. Oh, now there's the 0.55 in the pit lane. This was not expected for me. Kelly.
Does not appear that it was a routine stop. This team didn't look prepared. They sprung into action suddenly just before the 55 got down to pit lane. And to add insult to injury, as this team obviously coming in unscheduled, they have been caught with a pit lane violation for going too fast. A little bit of confusion on this team. I'm going to see if I can find out more about why they brought Christophe Bouchou into pit lane.
It appears they didn't change a full set of tyres there, Jeremy. I may have got to that late. It will be a drive-through, a stop and go for the 0.55.
Wow.
And that has massive championship implications.
It certainly does, because that is the car with which Scott Tucker is registered to score points in this race. And if everything stays the way it is, it's going to drop him back to 3rd place in the P2 class, actually possibly 4th place. No, maybe 3rd, because Patrick Dempsey, he's done a super job after taking over from Joe Foster in that number 27 car for Dempsey Racing.
Sorry, the onboard is very, very immersive with our big screen here in the studio, and it feels like I'm sitting next to Guy Smith as he got very, very close indeed to the downs. as our Forza leader as he goes across the line. It's Guy Smith, Forza Motorsport 4, the official gaming partner of the American Le Mans Series. We have just over half an hour to go, and there are your 5 class leaders here at Elkhart Lake. Now, sometimes I am accused of overhyping things, but there is drama here in the last 31 minutes and 13 seconds of the Road Race Showcase here for the American Le Mans Series. Huge exit stage left for the 66. I've got it back. Oh, no, I haven't. And he goes, you have got to be going a long way off to hit the catch fencing there. That is the 66 TRG Porsche. It may have been a mechanical failure. That car's had a few hits, maybe something like a stuck throttle.
Yeah, it could be, I suppose. We saw the number 31 car get that corner wrong a little earlier in the race, but poor Emilio De Guida went off at an even faster rate of knots and went all the way through the gravel and made it to the tyres as well.
Yep, good effort.
It's been a horrible day for TRG, and again, yeah, they came into this race with such high hopes. They've had already this season a couple of wins, 3 wins in the GTC category, and came into this weekend just 11 points behind Alex Job Racing, but it's all gone wrong now, particularly as the number 22 car for AJR is leading the race with Jerome Blakemolen, only by a car length or two, I think, over Martin Raginger in the number 11 car for JDX Racing.
Yeah, and Damien Faulkner is only another 8 seconds or so further back in the queue as it is behind the safety car at the moment. Looks like the corner workers are looking at the front left of that car to see if it can be pulled out. Yeah, and that car may actually be back under its own steam. Yellow flag. I said it was drama, not just for the car going off, but how about Klaus Graf and Greg Pickett? If Greg Pickett doesn't put the lottery tickets on this week, he has had the year of just getting the brakes when he needed the brakes. You could not write the script. No. 4 laps down here is way different to 4 laps down at Lime Rock, and in fact, actually here, they've made do with fewer cautions and done it very well on strategy and pace.
Yeah, but the time in this caution just couldn't be better for these guys. They're going to be able to pull all the way around. He was almost 2 minutes behind when we were back to green. Now it's just a question of fighting his way all the way through the traffic, which is not going to be the work of a moment, but certainly this is a great opportunity here for Lucas Luhr and car number 6.
From Muscle Milk, they recognise exactly what Jeremy Shaw's just been saying along to 32 minutes ago. Full cost caution, just what we needed.
No kidding.
Who writes the script? Say, I've got to tell you, I've got to think that in that car at the moment, Lucas Luhr is going to love this challenge that he's got. Let's find out what the boss thinks. Greg Pickett, the man behind Pickett Racing, is down in the pit lane with Jamie.
And Greg has a big smile on his face. As usual, Greg, I know it's been a nail-biter day. You guys are back on the lead lap. What's the mentality of the team right now?
I mean, the Muscle Milk team is just never give up, And once again, had all kinds of little stuff. The guys did a fab on the last pit stop. I couldn't be more proud of the guys. You can see why this is really a team effort. Drivers, crew, you just saw how important it is. Just seconds can make a big, big difference. So we're going to go back around. Lucas in traffic. I mean, both Lucas and Klaus late in traffic have been the German dynamic duo, if you will. And I'm with everybody else. I'm going to sit here, enjoy it, hold my breath, and hope for the best.
You've had a successful driving career yourself, a successful run now as a team owner. Late stages of the race, these are championship implications. What do you say to your team to keep everybody calm?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I tell them much about getting calm. I'm a little excited myself. I just patted them all on the back, told them they did a great pit stop when we needed them to do it. And now they're going to sit back and, the guys are planning and thinking every minute. We needed that yellow really badly. Lucas is hooping and hollering on the radio. He's really looking forward to this run here. So we'll see what we got. It should be a lot of fun.
Keep your fingers crossed. Thank you, Greg Pickett. Kelly?
We said that the 16 Dyson needed to get a win today if they really wanted to keep those championship hopes alive. And for Chris Dyson, luck may have finally fallen on your side, but Muscle Milk has climbed its way back to the lead lap. Does Guy have a car underneath him to hold him off for the rest of this race?
Well, I don't know if luck's fallen on our side today. I mean, there's still a lot of racing left. We'll see. The car's been decent. We came from the back. We're leading the race. I think that, yet again, the Muscle Milk guys have benefited from yellows. They've had quite a year in that respect. So, it's just going to come down to the last half hour, just like last year. And that's what this place produces, is excellent racing. So I'm hoping we can come out with the win.
You had the big first stint and guys in there now. What has the feedback been on the car?
I think fairly good, actually. I mean, we both found the balance very good. I mean, I did 2.5 hours in the car, and I think that we made a nice step with it. Those guys seem to have a good pace today. So, we'll see.
Thanks, Chris.
0.011 of a second was the massive margin of victory between those two teams here last year. Are we heading for that again? Is that a little bit of overheating coming out there? From Lotus AGR, running as high as 4th, currently 8th. Good luck to them. That's on at Lotus AGR if you want to follow them. Social media is fabulous, and you can follow the teams as we do here in the booth. First port of call, of course, should be the AmericanLeMans.com website and at ALMS Notes, but you're seeing some of the team tweets that we get here. Make sure you're following them as well. So 25 minutes to go. Few people to take service. We'll be back to racing. You won't miss any of it here, as we'll come back to Elkhart Lake next. Well, the weather has not been a factor here at the Road Race Showcase, Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin this weekend. There have been times when inclement weather has played a huge part in this race over the years. That has not been a fixture this weekend. It's been blue skies, a little cloud, beautiful temperatures. The temperatures have come up a little bit in the last hour or so. That's contributed to, I think, the track being a little bit slicker and lap times going out. But what we have got is a dash for cash. 22 minutes of racing, as back in the pit lane again is the 055. Last time they came in and changed one tyre, the right rear, and there's a shake of the head from Christophe Bouchou. This is the car that's battling for the championship, and this is the car that his team owner has registered for his points in this weekend, and off comes the rear deck. Jeremy, this is not what they wanted to see.
No, certainly, and he hasn't even yet served his penalty either. He's got that penalty for speeding on pit lane, so he won't be able to serve that until we go back to green. I don't think he served it before this caution period came out, so this stop is, if he stays up much longer, he's going to lose third place in class to Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that is more points deficit to Martin Plowman. Meantime, in PC, it's still the two core Autosport cars, with Tom Kimber-Smith and Colin Brown first and second. Kyle Marcelli, pole sitter in the Merchant Services car, in third position. They haven't won a race this year, but they're sitting in the queue. That's going to be a battle royale as well to the end in GT. It's 55, 56, the two BMWs. We're told they can go to the end, as can Johannes van Overbeek in the 01 Ferrari, as can Jan Magnussen, as can Jörg Bergmeister. The top five separated by nothing at all, as we'll be coming back to the green flag in a moment or two.
Yeah, and that'll be about, it'll be less than 20 minutes to go, so we're probably going to get 9, possibly 10 laps of racing. That's all we're going to have. And Lucas Luhr, he's got to work his way through, all the way through the pack, and then catch the leader. So he's got a chance here, but this is going to be a very exciting end to this motor race.
Guy Smith and Eric Lux are absolutely together at the head of the field. They are first and second. They are teammates. I wouldn't expect to see the 20 car making any bold moves on the 16, because they're not in the championship hunt. So they need to play a backstop at the moment. They're taking points. What they are doing as far as the championship hunt for the 16 car is they're taking points away from Lucas Luhr, Muscle Milk and Greg Pickett, who we were talking to just a few moments ago. So stay in his slipstream, follow his lines by all means, and try and keep the 6 car behind you.
Absolutely, but this is 1, 2, 3, 4 overall positions at the front of the pack when we go back to restart with 19.5 minutes to go. So I reckon 9 or possibly 10 laps of racing.
Green, green, green.
Green, green.
As we head off into the sunset here at Elkhart Lake, and Guy Smith leads his teammate behind the battle for P2, Martin Plowman and Scott Tucker. But for Scott Tucker, that's the wrong car that he's battling. If he gets by, though, he won't back.
That's right, he's going to pick his way through as quick as he possibly can there, going past that Lotus Evora that we've talked about. A great run for Alex Job Racing. Look like they're going to get a top 8 finish. That'll be the best season finish for that car as Lucas Luhr now sets his sight. Look at this battle here, side by side between a Ferrari and a Corvette.
And Mr. Me Not You has it absolutely right. We've sold you a seat. You'll only use the very edge of it here as we go into a 5-way scrap street fight in the street-based class of GT. And there is your leader, Bill Oberlin. He's got 0.6 of a second on his teammate. Oh, forget about times at this point. Just look at the gaps. Everybody else is in second place down over. This is basically just a run to the line. First, second, third, fourth, and fifth there going through.
Yeah, what frustration that must be for the Flying Lizard guys. I mean, everything was looking really good for them, but for that timing of that caution period.
At the top of the show, right at the very start, some 3 hours and, well, nearly 4 hours ago, Bill Oberlin gave us the quote, "We're gonna put the brakes on the vets this weekend. We're the team to do it." And my goodness me, they're stamping their authority as they're through. Goes the car. Now I don't think that is a pass for position. I think that is Van Overbeek's team. No, that was Van Overbeek. My apologies. That's Jan Magnussen. I think putting a move on Van Overbeek.
No, that's the green shade band there, which is the 02 car. That is a lap.
Well, Magnussen's got ahead of both of the Ferrari. One of the Ferraris, he's got the 4-ways on at the moment. Yeah. So he has dropped a position, Van Overbeek. We thought he was in a pretty good shape, and in fact the Lizards have gone through as well, so it's all changed. GT now, 55 and 56, Oberlin and Muller. Jan Magnussen is up to third. Jörg Bergmeister is up to fourth. Johannes Van Overbeek drops 2, down to 5th position. He's got Ollie Gavin breathing down his neck as well now. Just in the background there, he'll be there shortly. The 44 car is not in the fight. There's something odd with the green shade banded ESM car. That is the 02. He keeps flashing his 4-ways. And there they go again. I think he's telling his teammate to go through.
Yeah. And then he'll try and tuck him behind him, but actually, in doing so, he's actually lost a position there to Marco Holzer in the number 44 Flying Lizard car. Both of those two 1 lap down to the GT leaders.
Yeah, Holzer in 9th, Guy Cosmo in the 02 is actually down in 11th. I think that was, they were already separated there.
A couple of laps down, you're right.
Yeah. So, Magnussen, Bergmeister, Van Overbeek separated by just a second at the head of the field. Bill Oberlin has a second on Dirk Muller.
So working their way through the traffic that last time, the race leaders, Guy Smith turned a 1 minute 58.8, Lucas Luhr turned a 1:59.6, even though he had to pass a whole slew of cars. So Lucas Luhr is on the move. He's in 5th place overall right now, but he's going to be on the back of those cars battling for P2 very, very soon. What, 15 minutes to go.
And he's got something like 26 seconds to Eric Lux in second. He'll want to get there at least. And here he comes making more passes down towards Canada Corner. Guy Smith doing a great job, just a 55.8 last time around. He's cleared the traffic. And Muscle Milk is now 21 seconds behind the leader.
No, that's the differential overall. That's,
oh, is it? So he's now down to 11 seconds,
Absolutely he is, yes. He's just gone past Scott Tucker there, so moved himself up into 4th place overall, and less than 11 seconds, the deficit to the race leader, and he's only about 7 seconds behind Eric Lutz. So, you know, if he can maintain this sort of pace, as they came across the line that time, a 1 minute 52.3 for Lucas Luhr, 1 minute 55 for Guy Smith. 1:57 for Eric Lutz, so 5 seconds quicker.
Patrick Dempsey's on the podium in the 27 Dempsey Racing Lola Coupe, gone by the 0:55. Christophe Bouchou's back out on the track on his first lap out, but he lost nearly 7 minutes in the pits with this problem. The rear suspension clearly not to the Frenchman's liking. They changed the tyre, they've had a look at it, they've sent him back out again, but that championship position that we were talking about, that's a differential of 2 places in the standings.
Indeed so, and in that 0.55 car, it was Scott Tucker that set the best lap of that car during the race for Christophe Bouchou. The car was running fine, it seemed, until just a few minutes before this caution period, but Christophe Bouchou wasn't able to go quicker than Scott Tucker.
The chase for Muscle Milk continues.
the nail-biting going on down at Muscle Milk Pickett Racing right now. You have the guys on the front row of the pit cart staring at the computer screens. They're not even watching the race. And you've got the guys on the back row cheering in their ear right behind them. Everybody down here right now paying attention to the end of this race. This is good stuff in prototypes.
And it happens here so many times at Road America. Smithy crosses the line at 55.8. He's got 4 seconds on Lux. Then it's Plowman. He's just about to go through.
Keep pushing, pal. Keep pushing. You're chasing him down. Chasing him down.
And in fact, Lucas Luhr's gone past Martin Plowman now. And now he's got 8.2 seconds to the leader. And just 4 seconds to second place. Once again, Road America, 4 miles around, the longest track, is potentially going to give us one of the closest finishes.
There is a number 20 car going out of the frame there at the bottom, on his way towards turn 5. And here is Lucas Luhr pressing on behind him. It's only going to be another lap or so, and he's going to be right with Eric Lutz. And then can he catch Guy Smith?
He's actually leaning forward in the cabin. He's tucking himself down, head down, as if it's going to make a blind bit of difference. But you see people doing this. He's picked up a little bit of understeer there, going through turn number 6. The car just pushing perhaps a little more than Lucas would want to, but he is wringing every last tenth of a second out of the car as he races back towards second place Eric Lux. He did a 53 last time around. Lux did a 56. That's not a shoddy time, but he's there. He's right on him at the carousel, and he's caught him very quickly indeed. Now,
that was Eric Lux's best lap, in fact, for that car in this race. So he's pushing as hard as he can, but Lucas Luhr is looming.
He's trying to take points away, is Lux. This is very, very important for the championship. They would love to keep that 20 car ahead for the next 11 minutes and 50 seconds. And Eric breaks the last of the late break as he somehow pitches the car and backs it in like a MotoGP rider in the Canada corner. But I don't think that Lucas Luhr will be denied. Lucas has to be clever. Oh, he's gone down the inside at the final corner. I don't think he really needed to be that impetuous there. He probably would have got him on the start-finish line. But look at this! Lux is having a go back. They've wound up the power on the Mazda Turbo, side by side. Lux is on the wrong side, but he's going to make... Look at Lucas. Looks across to the right, going, what are you doing? Where are you going to go from there? That was absolutely superb. He's into second place, and now he's got some 8.7 seconds between himself and the leader. 8.7 seconds, 11 minutes.
7 laps remain, -8 seconds, -8.
No way's the 7 laps left if you're doing 153s and there's 11 minutes to go.
No.
I think they're being a little bit generous there. I think it's going to be probably 5 or 6.
And last lap for Guy Smith, a 153.6.
Wow.
Which is only hundredths slower than his best lap in this race. So Guy Smith, he knows what he's got to do here. He's got to put the pedal to the metal and try and stay out front. Lucas Luhr is going to be charging as hard as he can. Oh, here's the number 95 car. Oh yeah, major problem for the number 95.
Now this car needs to sit there.
But then...
No, he needs to sit there. He can't get past Plowman. He's decided he can't get past Plowman, so therefore he's got to give the position back to his teammate.
Yep.
That means he's going to give up a podium position in the 95. But what will happen is the Dempsey car will go through, but so will the 055. Kelly Stavist is down there.
Well, we saw the 055 in earlier. They had a suspension failure on the left rear. So word from the team is that the 95 is coming in so that they could give it a good look over and make sure the suspension on the 95 is in proper working condition. So that's why you see the crew checking out the rear of the 95 at the moment.
I don't have a problem with this at all. No. I don't have a problem with this at all, whether or not there was a problem. This is team racing. These guys are going for a championship. They've run 2 race cars. They've brought 2 race cars to the track. They've paid their entry money. And this is the car they are trying to get back up onto the podium to mitigate the amount of points that Martin Plowman and the 37 team are going to take off them in the championship. This is a team game. I have no problem with that at all. Here comes Lucas Luhr. Look at the progression from Lucas Luhr as Guy Smith continues to lay down very, very good laps, 153.5, but Lucas Luhr did a 51.3 last time around.
Yeah, and that was the best lap for Guy Smith. and Lucas Luhr is only a couple of tenths or 1/10 or so off his best lap. So both of these guys are really pushing hard. But this is going to, with the 95 car in the pits, that's going to put Patrick Dempsey and Joe Foster into second place. That really is a great result for those guys, and they've turned pretty respectable pace as well, given their lack of experience in these cars.
Yeah, Ben Devlin brought in as a little insurance for those guys this weekend. Joe Foster with some rib injuries from an incident in a GT car at Watkins Glen last weekend, and he's made a difference, hasn't he, even though he hasn't got in the car?
Yeah, he hasn't got in the car, you're right, but a lot of information he's able to bring to them and really help them, develop themselves and get them comfortable in the car. Yes, he's been a big inspiration, I think. Whoa, what's going on there? GT cars all over the place. Look at that, the Lizard.
That's the Flying Lizard, and the Flying Lizard is up and past one of the BMWs, so there's been changes in GT while we've been watching the leaders, and that's second place now for the Lizards. And here's how it happens. This is the battle for first and second in class, is it? Second and third in class. And there goes the Lizard and says, ooh, I'll just have fourth up to second. Thank you very much indeed. And it is Jörg Bergmeister, by the way, back in the 45, just going through past Dirk Muller and Jan Magnussen there. Across the line, Guy Smith with 7:36 left. That ticking clock going down will not be going fast enough for Chris Dyson and the rest of the team. A 1:55.8 last time around. It's down to 2 seconds. We can see them in the same shot as they head down to the Briggs and Stratton Bridge, and now there's GTC cars and they're battling for position. That's Damien Faulkner and Martin Ragginger battling for second position in GTC, and Faulkner's got the leaders coming through. These guys have got to keep their wits about them. Through goes Lucas Luhr, driver's left. Great driving by all concerned, and there is the leader in GTC, and no doubt JDX and Green Hornet is catching there. We've only got a battle in every single class on the circuit at the moment.
Yeah, great stuff. What a charge this has been by Lucas Luhr. And Guy Smith, he's going to give it his all, but has he quite got enough?
We need 5 eyes because of the 5 categories at the moment. Bleecker Molan leads in GTC by 2.5 seconds from Ragginger and Faulkner, who are together. In PC, well, that one is a little bit better for Tom Kimber-Smith. He's managed to pull out all of 4 seconds over Colin Brown, his teammate, and another second back to third place, Kyle Marcelli. In GT, Oberlin has 2 seconds over Dirk Muller in... Dirk Muller's back to second? No, that's not right. Jörg Bergmeister, he has 4 seconds to Jörg Bergmeister. They've just gone across the line. In P2, Martin Plowman has the biggest lead of anybody at the moment as he is cruising home to the Conquest Endurance victory, surely in 4th place overall. Guy Smith has 2.1 seconds over Lucas Luhr. Did I miss anybody out there? No, that is the 5 classes. And this is marvellous. Here we are after 3 hours, 54 minutes and 5 seconds. Guy Smith will now have to properly defend for at least another 2 laps of this motor race. 8 miles, I reckon, now between Guy Smith.
3.
Do you think 3?
Yeah, I do.
Ooh, dear.
He's got his hands on here, Guy Smith. I mean, the muscle milk car is clearly a lot faster. That time when they come across the line, a 1:54 point for Guy Smith, a 1:53's flat for Lucas Luhr.
Eric Lux has done a great job, by the way, in the 20 car. He's still well under 2 minutes. He had to give up second place to Lucas Luhr. They were trying to take points away from their championship rivals, help the guys in the 16 car. They haven't been able to do it. It was 0.3 of a second at the line, and Lucas Luhr, you get the feeling now, is lining up Guy Smith for a clean pass somewhere. Where are the respective strengths and weaknesses of these 2 cars? The Mazda-powered Lola Coupe of Dyson against the HPD Honda Performance Development chassis and the Honda engine that is chasing them down. Lucas Luhr looks speculatively at the outside, going down towards turn 8. He's not really going to make a move there. For my money, he'll try and nail it coming out the carousel. Might be a little bit too close here, Jeremy.
Yeah, he's going to try and get a run off this corner, and then there's a slower cut. That's the Lotus Evora in front of them. They're going into the kink. And
come on, Smithy, you've got to go through if you're going to do it. He has. Yikes. And that has fallen nicely. For once, a little bit of luck for the Dyson car as Smithy was very decisive there. Lucas just had to back off, and look at the gap. He's put it back to where it was a lap ago. Down the Canada corner, 4 minutes and 18 seconds to go.
Yeah, I reckon 3 more laps, I think it's going to be. Unfortunately for Guy Smith, because that just means he's got to grit his teeth for a little bit longer. But what a battle this has turned out to be. A tremendous comeback, but what a great effort by Guy Smith. I mean, clearly You know, the Dyson Racing guys, they've been struggling with the handling of this Lola Mazda for pretty much the whole season. But Guy Smith now, you can see that victory is, you know, kind of almost in his grasp. He certainly doesn't want to give it up.
Down into turn number 1. It is the 16 of Guy Smith. He's got more traffic, and all of these guys are also battling. They're all wanting to get to the end of the race. It's that part of the season as we move into the last quarter where every single position on the track means better points towards the end of the year. Everybody's got to be so heads up about this now. It was 0.8 of a second at the line. Guy Smith again decisively moves to driver's left on, is that Bryce Miller? Yes, it is, behind the wheel of the Chopard 48 Porsche. But
Once
this
again,
time,
Lucas Luhr's line compromised there into turn 6, but again, he carries a lot of momentum through that corner. I mean, that car really is working well, that HPD with the Honda engine, 3.4-litre engine. It's just a super piece of equipment. And again, Lucas Luhr squeezes down the inside of that PC car. And once again, he's almost onto the tail of Guy Smith.
Right, keep your eyes on this while quickly I remind everybody that in PC, the lead between the 06 and the 05 cars is just under 4 seconds. Kyle Marcelli dropping back a little bit from those two. In GTC, Blake Mullen's got 2 seconds over Ragginger and Faulkner, who are having a cracking battle, but there's no way we can take our eyes off the head of the field as Lucas Luhr slowly, inexorably drags his way back to the rear spoiler of Guy Smith's Lola Mazda Coupe. And the Yorkshireman will have to pull out all of that northeastern grit that he's got there, and he flicks the car into the final corner. There is Lucas Luhr in second place as they head up the hill again with GT traffic. Who gets the best of the traffic this time? Look at the gaggle of cars. 2 minutes to go. You're right, there's going to be another couple of laps. You were on the money there. Half a second. That's the least that Luhr's taken out of him.
Turn 3 is going to be interesting down here at the bottom of the hill. Look at this lot.
It's like a traffic jam. Smoke screen being thrown up by one of the cars. It's like a Bond movie. All we need now is throwing out the tax. 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th in GT.
And look at that, Lucas has got a run on him, but there's cars in the way. He can't take advantage of the running car through turn 3.
But don't forget, the car in front is a turbo. You get off there, it takes a while for it to spool back up again. The normally aspirated car should have a little bit of an advantage going on and off the power. Super driving between all of those guys. We've got PC, GT, and the BMW gets pushed off there. And that is losing a position then for Dirk Muller in 4th place in the battle in GT. Bill Oberlin still leads by 3.5 seconds from Bergmeister, 55 from 45 there, but the leaders are already down at turn number 8, just making sure that nothing else has changed as they've gone through this time. On the other classes, it's going to be tight everywhere, eyes in the back of your head. And Guy Smith has got about 5.5 miles to hold off Lucas Luhr. What a famous victory this would be. It's been a great charge back. I've never seen blue flags waved with any more gusto than they are now. Everyone around the circuit, including the corner workers, knows what's at stake here. As Lucas Luhr loses the front end of the Muscle Milk car. He knew he had to get down the inside of the Dempsey racing machine there if he was going to have any chance in the last 4 miles, which start in about 6 seconds' time.
Yeah, the rear end of the car got really loose under braking for Canada Corner, but Lucas Luhr held on to him, and now he's charging up the front straight. But you know, this Lola Mazda, it is very quick on the straight. So Lucas, having closed up, making that last pass, there is the white flag. Just 1 lap to go for Guy Smith in the lead, or Lucas Luhr currently in 2nd place.
And he's held on to that half a second. Never has a white flag looked so good for Guy Smith. Down into turn number 3, excuse me, at the bottom of the hill. Lucas gets a good run through there. He's edging back towards the back of the coupe again. He looks at his mirrors just to see if there's anything behind him. Lucas, there's nothing behind you, mate. Just concentrate on going forwards.
Guy Smith just turned his best lap of the race at 1:52.927, exactly when he needs it.
Through traffic and under pressure, the Yorkshireman, the 2003 Le Mans winner for Bentley, shows his mettle. I don't think this is going to be able to be called until we see them come up the hill for the last time as Luhr tries on the outside. Everybody's trackside at the moment is holding their breath for another 2 minutes or so. into the carousel for the final time, halfway round the final 4 miles of 4 hours. In fact, we're over 4 hours of racing. Once again, the American Le Mans Series over-delivers in terms of entertainment as Guy Smith comes through the kink for the last time. Lucas Luhr will surely have a look at Canada Corner. He must try and do it. He's going to have to come from a long way back.
Don't think he's going to be close enough at Canada Corner. He's going to have to make it, I think, at turn 14. He's right on Guy Smith's tail as they go up the hill now. Just 2 more corners to go.
Well, he's shown that he can stick it up the inside going into the last corner. It's now or never for Lucas Luhr, and it's now, and he's done it. He had to make it stick, but he's gone wide, and here comes Smith.
A drag race. We got a drag race.
And it's a little, who's got the ponies? Who's got the ponies? It's got to be the Mazda. The Mazda has beaten the Honda up the hill.
Wow.
And that is extraordinary. Wow. Fantastic.
Unbelievable. Last year, 0.112 of a second between these 2 cars. It was the number 16 that came out on top then. Now it's 0.083 of a second between them. Even closer. Fantastic finish.
Give the script writer a raise. That was outstanding. BMW take GT with Bill Oberlin. And he's won by all of 2 seconds over Jörg Bergmeister. The Battery Tender Hard Charger Award, it's got to go to Lucas Luhr for that last stint. He took the lead and went away. It looked like he was going to win that race. He's been through the field a couple of times. They've had their problems. What a fantastic run it's been. He had to chase down the 16. And at the last corner, he sticks it in there. That's really, really good driving by both of them. Smithy doesn't flinch, knows he might just have a chance, feints to the right, goes to the left. Oh, magic stuff. And Lucas Luhr might not have won the race, but he's taken the Hard Charger Award, and there is Guy Smith just sneaking the victory by a lawless length, 0.083 of a second. Can we do that again now?
Wasn't that absolutely wonderful?
Oh, dear me. Blake Moran wins GTC by 3.3 seconds over Fulton.